Hey meow. How's it going, Adam?
Meow.
So, what are we doing today?
We're talking about the debate on Thursday. This is the first point in the election that we can focus on that might maybe a turning point, right? Could a major reversal could happen here.
Will Joe Biden wander off the stage after crapping his pants? Will Donald Trump shout out the N-word and then have a stroke? We'll find out on Thursday, won't we? Well, hopefully. So, okay, I'm annoyed because I'm excited for this debate. I think everyone should be very excited for this debate just to see if, I mean, I'm most excited just to see if like Joe Biden can be cogent and cognizant and like have like perform, in a way that like shows that he's not enfeeble. I'm very, very curious to see how that all goes down. And I'm
Right.
annoyed because now I'm seeing people that are like complaining on the right that Trump shouldn't do the debate because they don't like Jake Tapper. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't you take this from me? Don't you take this from me, you bastards?
Yeah, I was telling Sitch right before the stream began that I think they made a crucial error. I was talking about George W. Bush and how George W. Bush is was a master at lowering expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So really, before any debate, he had lowered expectations so much that if he could just string a sentence together, people would perceive it as a win. And that's exactly what the Trump side has been doing with Joe Biden for like months now. Like
Right.
if we don't see Joe Biden literally shit his pants on Thursday, like it's going to be perceived as a win by Joe Biden. That's a horrible
um,
situation to be in. And look, and I think
mhm.
someone said this to Trump maybe a few days ago because I don't know if you're watching Trump rallies. Trump is doing his best to raise expectations for Biden. He's saying Biden is going to do a good job and that Biden did a good job in the previous debates and Biden's going to take stimulants and he's going to be on his game. So he's Trump gets it now. He's like, "Oh shit, I need to lower expectations for me."
You think that's what he's like? He's, well, how is he going to lower expectations for himself by just saying that
Well,
it's rigged?
well no, by saying that he's facing a formidable opponent, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
has he said that? I don't. I mean,
He is saying stuff like that.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
interesting.
I saw a clip where he was saying that Biden did very good in the previous debates and that he expects Biden to be a formidable challenger. Yeah.
Like, I don't think in 2020 they had two debates. Chris Wallace hosted the first one, and I don't think like Biden did good. He didn't do like there was the same expectation that Biden was going to be, in like not be able to be mentally cognisant or
Hmm.
cognizant, I should say, not be able there. That was like definitely the expectation, and he was. And so I guess you're right. Like the expectations were so low for Biden that they're like, oh, okay, like he did good, but he didn't really do good. He just didn't collapse into a pile of dust on stage, right? He didn't do well though. Um,
Trump thought he did very good in the first debate where he was just at Biden's throat, but the public did not react that way. The public
mhm.
really saw that debate as Trump being a bully. And I think Trump took that to heart and in the second debate was far
Yes,
more measured.
that
Yeah.
is true. That is true. Yeah, there was a constant interrupting. The arguing with the moderator generally doesn't look good.
Well,
Now,
this time
maybe
they're going
it
to
would
mute
be.
his mic though, so this time he can't do that.
Oh, really?
Yes, so like that actually might help Trump.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
they're
know, because
supposed to be muted right after they're done speaking.
I wonder. That's interesting because I wonder, like with Chris Wallace, he was on Fox News for so many years, so maybe Trump arguing with him is seen as like more negative. Where if it's Jake Tapper, who's been on CNN for so many years, from people that are Trump supporters, Trump getting into some big heated argument with Jake Tapper might be perceived very differently.
Oh man, if he starts arguing with the moderator and the moderator mutes his mic
That will
and
look
you
good.
hear half a
Really?
word get out,
Yeah.
how's that look
That's
optically?
not gonna look good. That's true. That's not gonna look good. So yeah, and that's what's weird. It's like that's why I am super annoyed with all these right wingers now. Like Mike Cernovich is like zero reason for Trump to do the rigged CNN debate. They're like, you're kidding me? Like I was told by Cernovich, by all these people, that Joe Biden is like Weekend at Bernie's, that he's being propped up by medicine and steel wire jutted into his back because he's so old and enfeebled he can't talk. And now, like, I'm being told by the same people that Trump shouldn't do the debate. It seems really like transparently pathetic to me.
The same people who've been pulling the George W. Bush maneuver and lowering the expectations for their
Yes.
opponent
Yes.
have realized the errors of their ways
Yes.
4 days before the debate, Sitch, and
It's
they've
like,
decided, oh my God, this is a dead end.
well, and it's so pathetic because, like, if Trump pulled out now of the debate or in the coming days,
weak.
that would be the biggest fucking political mistake ever.
Huge mistake.
Like, are these people like secret, like being paid off secretly by the Biden campaign or something? Like, how fucking dumb is this?
Look,
It
you
would look so bad. Everyone would be like, "Oh, I thought Biden was so enfeebled. I thought he was so old. I thought he was so pathetic." And Donald Trump is scared to debate him. Like, are you kidding me? This is so lame.
That's exactly right. When you've set up an opponent that literally can't walk 2 steps without crapping himself,
Right.
and that's the guy he's running from. Oh my God.
Right. You're gonna literally have like a meme of, like the Joe Biden like licking the ice cream meme, like the ice cream
Yeah.
cone. You're gonna have that meme, but like the ice cream's on the floor and Biden hasn't realized it. So he's just licking air. And Donald Trump is like running away from him. And you're like, oh, okay, this is supposed to be like the president. Like, it's so bad. It'd be such a bad look.
Or
I'm assuming Trump
Biden-
isn't going to be, I'm assuming Trump is smart enough to just be like, no, that's retarded. I'm going to obviously debate, and maybe this is just like a setup. Maybe this is all just like hedging in case it goes bad and they could say that it was rigged or something. I don't know.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I see the meme of Biden wandering around like lost and Trump hiding from him. Like, oh my God, he might see me.
Right. That'd be terrible.
So I have this clip from MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it and it's just that I only want to play the intro because the intro is hilarious. It's like, oh God, it's the partisan knives are out already. It's so demoralizing. How many people don't vote because of this nonsense? Ready?
Right.
Buckle up. This week could be a wild ride and a critical turning point in the race for the White House. On Thursday in Atlanta, President Biden and Donald Trump will face off on the debate stage for the first time since October of 2020. That's actually the last time they've been in the same room. It will also be the first ever debate between a sitting president and a twice impeached former president who's been convicted of felony crimes. Guy on the right.
Yeah, look, that's so that's the framing. Obviously, you have President Biden, like revered President Biden, and Donald Trump, former convicted felon.
Right. You have President Biden and twice impeached felony rapist Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're not putting a thumb on the scale here, are you? Oh,
No.
It is MSNBC, so obviously they're going to be as incendiary as possible.
Right.
This is what they paid for with the trumped up charges against Donald Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what they wanted. They wanted to be able to say, convicted felon for 6 months before people vote.
I wonder if like the Fox was Fox News coverage like Savior of America Donald Trump wrongly impeached versus hair sniffing senile patient
Maybe
Joe Biden.
I didn't watch Fox News. I thought about looking up the Fox News because it's got to be something equally ridiculous. So
right.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So this debate, I mean, it could be a huge letdown. We're gonna watch the debate on Thursday, and we'll probably stream right after the debate. I don't know that we can stream during the debate, and
people are gonna try because obviously they're gonna get like a shit zillion views, basically, attempting to steal the content, right?
It's just so weird though to be just staring at the debate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I watched a stream where Star Wars Theory watched The Acolyte, where he's watching The Acolyte and his entire stream is just watching him. Like the Acolyte is not on screen anywhere.
I don't think that's that bad because like at least then, you're you're not stealing the content. People in the chat are still like they just kind of want to be together while it's
Yeah.
going on.
They're
So,
reacting to it. Well, maybe we'll do that for the Acolyte this week then. We can do it on our spiffy new channel.
yeah, I guess we could do that. People are saying David Pacman streams the debates.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel conflicted. Should we try to stream the debate on Thursday?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to kind of look at the environment. I feel like it's just better to talk about it afterwards. We did that with the Republican debates, and people tend to like the play-by-play that we put together. So,
Sure.
yeah, very different than other people's content.
Okay.
That's where you can see the artist in me. I'm just like, I want to give you guys a novel experience. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. But I don't know. That could be a faulty course of action.
The presidential debate is protectable through copyright. Yeah, it is 100%. So,
but
it
yeah,
is technically wrong, but
technically immoral or wrong.
Immoral, wrong, legal technically. So I don't know how Pacman and the other people get away with it, unless it's just that CNN doesn't care enough to bother, which is possible. But
I feel like our coverage is better because we are not distracted by the chat, by interacting with everyone else. Like you and I are focused on the debate and analyzing it with our particular framework, the moral psychology type framework. The moral psychology, dictator's handbook, selectorate theory type framework. We kind of come to our analysis and then we interact with the chat a lot more. Obviously, we can interact with the chat a lot more after the debate's already over because we're not, stopping and not focusing on the debate to interact with the chat during the debate and missing crucial moments that are important. So, but I might, maybe I'll OBS it just so we can cover some clips.
Like bring up a timestamp or something.
The pertinent moments. I think that's the thing to do.
Well,
those pertinent moments. Obviously when Trump starts smelling and asks Biden if he crapped himself, everyone will want to see that, right?
Right. Well, okay. Do you think there's going to be some like insane moment like that where Biden like does have a meltdown, Trump does say something wild like that, or is it just going to be like, are we all going to be really disappointed? Biden's going to basically just perform, well enough. He'll probably stumble on his words a few times, but nothing crazy, and Trump's just going to do, the standard Trump things.
I think there's going to be an overwhelming chance that nothing eventful happens, that expectations have been lowered to the point that we want to see like a real true senior moment from Biden that just chances are better than not is not going to materialize. I mean, they may have a shock collar on Biden to the point where they're just like, they're not going to, if Biden does, that glassy eyed staring off into space, they're going to animate him like a fucking puppet.
That's
the Mitch McConnell. That's what they're looking for. They want the Mitch McConnell. How Mitch McConnell, is he even still in the Senate? He had like 2 or 3 of those moments over a couple of months where it looked like he was having a stroke.
Didn't he get hospitalized or something?
I don't know. Maybe he passed away.
No, he stepped down. Or he's going to step down. But he's still alive. He's still hanging on.
But so Trump also may try to characterize during his time what Biden is saying as a senior moment. I expect that to happen. I expect Biden to respond to questions, and then when it's Trump's turn, Trump to cast what Biden is saying or doing as not being able to hold himself together. Right? He's going to try to craft the narrative on the fly.
Well, I mean, one of the theories was that the reason that they're doing the debate now is because in case Biden does have this senior moment, he can be replaced.
That's true. Yeah. They usually have the debates after the conventions. And this is before the Democratic or the Republican convention. And the thinking goes, it's like Biden's test. And if Biden can't pass, the Democrats are fully prepared to pull his ass out of there and put someone else in. So they don't want to have that test after they've had the convention and they have no opportunity to replace him, which, I mean, that's smart, right?
Yeah, that is smart.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I am interested. Like the chaos, the interest level in me, just to have things be interesting. I would prefer if Biden shits himself or more likely does like the glass up, like has asked a question and starts to answer it, and then he just like stops talking and just stares like into nothingness in the camera. Like just for the sake of drama and interest in politics, I want that to happen because that'd be a lot more fun, right? Than it just being like a boring debate.
I want Biden to like keel over and Trump to run over and give him CPR. I want Trump on the ground, like pounding Biden's chest, like doing chest compressions.
Live, damn you! I need to beat you. No, it's like remember in One Piece where like there's the flashback of Zoro when he's young and he's like he can't beat the girl swords fighter and he's like you need to we need to train together so that I can beat you.
Right.
And then
That's exactly what's happening
Not
here.
just gonna be like, damn it, Biden, if you die, I can't beat you. Live, damn it. He starts giving him mouth to mouth, pounding on his chest, crying. No, I'll never be able to beat Biden.
Jill Biden runs out with one of those little breather things so she can do his breathing and pushes Trump away. Get away from him. As she tries to pull out paddles, like pills go flying everywhere.
Oh my God. How amazing would that be if they literally did like this, like the little electric paddles on him on TV?
That's what I want to see. Look, I'm looking for some drama here.
I was looking for something that's like realistic, I think,
Mhm.
but still,
you think
like,
this is
fun. And you're just like,
unrealistic?
no, let's go to like 12. Okay, we're gonna crank it up to 12 here. We're gonna have Trump giving CPR to Biden as he dies.
Sitch, come on, the screenwriter in me is taking over here.
Okay.
I want some wild shit.
Hey, Counterpoints, what's up? Counterpoints in the chat. Counterpoints said that it's a power move to shit your pants as the president.
Is it?
I mean, I could see the appeal. I could see what he's saying, right?
Do you believe that there was, I think at the G7, people were saying that he crapped himself and had to be escorted out to like clean up. Do you believe that?
I don't know. I don't think that's true. Well, there's that weird video where it looked like he didn't know where his chair was. So
I've seen those clips, and I mean, it's a compelling case. But the way the mind works is you kind of prime people to see things a certain way, and you just see it.
Mm-hmm.
Could be fun.
Sketch for 23 months. Thank you so much. Says late and quote, the scene does not contain a lap dance. Ding.
Oh wow.
Oh, there's your cinema sin. There's no lap dance. J-Mac, thanks so much. Our surrogate father, Daddy J-Mac.
Look at that.
50 gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's great. Welcome new members.
Thank you.
What's up?
And Justice City $5 says you can't be struck if you live react. This is why. That's not true though. You can 100% be struck on live streaming. 100%. That actually happened to a bunch of people. Because I remember we were gonna do it, and then like a bunch of people were getting struck left and right. We're like, maybe we won't do this. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll find out. Okay.
Hit the back button.
Hit the back
button.
Or
hit the history. Hit the
Where's
history.
the history button?
On the last thing. We started a new channel, Death of a Franchise. Did I put too many F's in there? I'm trying to find our own channel. I thought it was, you got to put the ad in. YouTube.com/@Death of a Franchise. No, that's Death of a. I'll get it. Here it is. All right, I'll throw it in the chat. Now that I finally found it. So we're almost up to 1,000 subscribers. We can get monetized if we get to 1,000 subscribers. We need 1,000 subscribers and like 4,000 hours of watch time, but we should probably be able to do that in this live stream or two. So
Yeah,
we're
we're
gonna
going
start.
to do. Oh, you go.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, so on Tuesday, tomorrow, we're going to do our first stream on Death of Franchise after Acolyte airs.
Yeah,
So
right after the episode airs, we're gonna jump on and talk about it. And this is the first episode that no one has seen. The first 4 episodes were given to media shills who are sworn to only talk good things about Star Wars.
Mhm.
And yeah, so now the show really begins, I guess.
All right, y'all. Welcome to
Okay. Damalus for 27 months. Thanks so much. Says I am now imagining Trump faking CPR so Biden passes away, but also trying to make it believable. That's like, see, now that's the big brain 10D chess move, right? He's like, oh, I'm like totally giving CPR, but not actually.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
Smart. Squeeze Louise for $10 says, imagine Biden stumbles or has a senior moment and Trump catches him or helps him out. Election immediately over. Yeah, that's 100% true.
If Trump saves his life, I don't see how Trump can lose the election.
That's true, yeah.
Trump's going to be like the magnanimous.
Yep.
The 2-time convicted felon who's, actually 2-time impeached. The 2-time impeached convicted felon that saved a president.
Whoa. Convicted felon and rapist.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
saved a president. Okay. Get it right.
Forgot the R worded.
Yeah, you have to throw the R word in there to get maximal, damage.
Maximal hatred.
Yes. Okay. So this is a really weird ass clip that I saw the other day. And I was like, we got to watch this because I don't know what the fuck's happening here. It's very strange to me.
So what's so weird about it? Look, this is friend of the show, Kyle Kulinski, going up against Tim Pool and Nick Fuentes. I'm not going to have to defend Nick Fuentes here, am I? What's happening?
Excuse me. I don't know if the mic just picked up me sneezing.
It did, but who cares?
No, okay. So, oh wait, this is the wrong video, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This is
the wrong video?
This is the wrong video. This is Kyle talking about the dog, which I haven't actually seen.
Talking about what?
Well, there's this weird accusation that that the Israeli government,
oh yeah,
trained dogs to rape Palestinian prisoners. And it's so like this is such a weird, like wacky fucking claim, and it's hilarious because Brianna Greyjoy, who very, very famously, argues every chance she gets against the fact that there was, mass sexual assault taking place on October 7th, and that the hostages have suffered in like sexual assault. She completely denies this. She fights it every step of the way. She continually says that there's no evidence, blah, 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 despite the fact that there is evidence and people testifying to witnessing it and even, being raped or sexually assaulted. And yet she hears I think one or two guys made this claim about being like having specially trained rape dogs. And she just automatically is like, oh, this is obviously happening. This insane fucking claim is obviously happening.
Who has not been sexually assaulted by a dog? Do you have to train these dogs? I mean, you've never been exposed to leg humping. I mean, there's some dogs that are just. I mean,
I don't believe I've ever been leg humped by a dog.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But listen.
Well, you don't let them do it like attempted leg humping. Let's say that
you got to protect your
you like get off my leg, you fucking.
You got to protect your
pervert.
Your purity, sure. I listen. I don't know anything about dog rape. Okay, it's not a subject matter I'm well versed in. I don't know if you'd have to train a dog to engage in this act or not. I feel like you would. I feel like a dog would just naturally not engage in that activity.
Oh man.
I don't know. I've never seen a double-blind test study where they have men bend over naked in front of dogs.
The girls are fighting you.
I can't respond. But regardless of whether they have to train them or not, the claim seems absurd to me. It seems like an insane fucking claim that this is happening.
Well, look, it's an insane claim that they've
right.
That they've trained dogs.
What
to
would
do
even
this.
be the point? like there's other ways to torture people. You don't have to have like the train dog rape division. It's such like a weirdly specific, like bizarre thing to do.
I'm telling you, someone in the IDF was out one day, and his
Yeah.
dog was like trying to hump the neighbor's leg. And he's like, I got an idea.
They're like, I finally got the idea. This is how we're going to get the information out of Hamas. It's the dog rape in here. So I don't know.
Did you change the video or what?
I did. I put to the right video. Yeah. Because
which one is it? I still have Tim Pool.
This is the Tim Pool video. Because
Tim Pool goes off on Nick Fuentes.
Yes.
That's not what I'm looking at.
Oh, well, hit enter or something.
All right, y'all. Welcome to the show.
Oh, no. You still have the dog rape account.
Which one am I supposed to have?
Hold on a second.
The Nick Fuentes?
The girls are fighting you.
Here,
that's the one I had.
You have the Nick Fuentes one now?
That's ridiculous. Tim Pool goes off on Nick Fuentes.
Yes.
That's the one I always had.
Okay.
I don't know what you had on your screen, but
I don't know. For mine got switched to the dog rape one for some reason. Anyway.
Oh my God. Who's the one that's Googling dog rape?
No, it was him talking about it. It was Kyle talking about it, you pervert. CS Paffy for 11 months. Thanks so much. Says 5318008.
Yeah, what is that?
What does that mean?
The 808 is like boob, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming the 808 is boobs. Oh, it's boobies. If you like
boobies. Okay.
Thank you, CS.
Thank you.
The Justice for 21 months says, do you think Trump supporters would change their mind if Trump soils himself on stage and stumbles and fumbles his words? Either way, S-class forever.
Of course not.
No, yeah. No, and it's the same thing with like even if Biden like shat himself on stage, a lot of people would still just vote for Biden because they would say like a lot of people wouldn't vote. Some people will switch over, but I think like a good chunk, like the majority of people that were Democrats would still vote for Biden anyway, just because they just don't want Trump. So Trump, if he like shat himself.
The real question is, how would David Pakman spin Biden crapping his drawers? Because there would be some spin.
Now, I kind of want. Is it weird that I want Biden to soil himself in the debate just so I can see how Dave Pakman would spin that?
Yeah.
That would be, oh my God, that would be peak YouTube content, right?
How does he spin it like it's 10D chess? Because that's always his thing. He's like, oh, inflation doesn't exist. You guys are imagining it. I'm pretty sure the things I buy are like 25 to 50% more expensive now.
It'd be Biden craps his pants, and then the next day the video is like Donald Trump meltdowns at performance, debate performance, and it's Donald Trump like yelling as Biden craps his pants. He's like, look at Trump having a meltdown just because a man pooped his pants. He's unhinged.
That's exactly right.
You're like, what is this?
Donald Trump can't even stand the smell of a little poop.
Yeah, exactly. So,
what kind of commander-in-chief is he going to make?
I don't know.
Just imagine if Putin soils himself. Donald Trump is going to go running. Can we really have that? Oh, it's awful.
Lithuanian Hussars for 12 months. Thanks so much for being a 1-year supporter. Says this message made possible by JMac Fund. I wouldn't even believe someone if they told me Hamas trained rape dogs. Also, thoughts on marmots. I agree with the Hamas thing. What do you mean marmots? Like the rodent? Like the big rodent thing? What? I don't really have a thought on marmots. Do you have a thought on marmots? Like as an animal?
They seem cool.
Yeah, they're kind of cute looking. They're like big fuzzy woodchucks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
let's watch this video.
Let's watch this video.
Stop screwing around with marmots.
I mean, it's better than dogs.
Is it? I don't know.
The girls. So here we have Tim Pool, and he's going to take some shots pretty directly at Nick Fuentes. So as you all know, Nick Fuentes is the Groyper guy. He's pretty openly a Nazi. I remember when he went on Alex Jones' channel and he debated him on whether or not Hitler was good. Alex Jones took the Hitler is not good position, and Nick Fuentes took the, well, he kind of is. So just so we know who we're dealing with here. So that's who Nick Fuentes is. And Tim Pool, of course.
By the way, we covered that stream, and it was one of our most fun streams ever.
That's one of like the best videos I've ever seen in my life.
I know. Look, we had so much fun with that stream. And it was. Alex Jones kept trying to reel Kanye back in. And Kanye was like, remember when he was like, I love. He's like, I love Hitler. We're like, what?
Well,
but Nick Fuentes through that whole thing was like, well, you know, I gotta agree with Kanye. It was fun. That was fun.
It was just that stream and that video, that content was so beautiful because Alex Jones is so used to being the craziest person in the room. He's so used to saying things, everyone going, oh my God, you know. And then in that situation, he's trying to play straight man to Kanye acting like an insane person, you know, with his little he had the net and he had the Yoo-hoo or the chocolate, you know, Yahoo bottle. So
yeah, the net and Yoo-hoo.
Yes.
Like net and Yahoo.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. And you're right, it was so weird because Alex kept trying to fix it. Like Kanye would say something insane.
Exactly.
He'd be like, well, Kanye, I mean, you don't really mean that. What you mean is this, and I get that. That makes sense. And Kanye would be like, no, Alex, I mean, I like Hitler. And he's like, well, Jesus Christ.
I love.
And then Nick would be like, yeah, Alex, I mean, listen, I got to agree with Kanye here. Like Hitler was like the bomb.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes was Kanye's wingman.
Yes.
It was so weird because he was like gallivanting around the country with him.
That's right. With
Nick Fuentes, he had the same outfit on for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this is weird.
Gene the Airy Penguin for $5 says, you have to understand Joe Biden craps red, white, and blue, and it smells like apple pie. He's demonstrating his dedication. David Pakman, probably. There you go.
Oh my God. Yes, that's true.
There you go.
Yeah, that is true. Look, he served you up a fresh apple pie, Trump.
Oh God.
And
Jesus
you
Christ.
wouldn't even take a bite.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Of course, is the guy.
So Kyle here very clearly spelling out, you know, Nick Fuentes,
right?
Hitler fan, white nationalist, right? So
well, he said Nazi.
Nazi.
I mean, he literally called him a Nazi. So.
Sure. Okay, so that's all spelled out right in the first 30 seconds. Kyle has to do that, obviously. So let's see where this goes.
Who likes to fancy himself an above the fray, enlightened centrist type, but
What?
Tim? Well, here's my legitimate question because, like, I know Tim used to do that. Does Tim even like claim that mantle at all anymore?
Right.
Because he's obviously gone like way more to, I don't know, to right to wherever he's gone. He's gone way more in that direction.
Tim Pool has come out as a conservative. He's called himself a conservative. Okay. Yes. Look, I don't call my enlightened centrist was always a joke. Mm-hmm. It was always kind of like tongue in cheek, like erudite, elitist type joke, right?
Sure.
I think it's more accurate to call myself an independent. So I've officially abandoned the centrist label for independent.
Right. So that's a wise idea, probably.
So many people they can't fathom, like they hear centrist and they think neutral. Like you're neutral. I'm there 50-50 supporting each side. I'm like, no, that's not what it means.
That's not what it means, yeah.
Yeah, independent people they're like, yeah, I'm up for, I'm a free agent here. I'm going to vote for whoever I think is the best candidate, right? I'm not neutral. So.
Two people in chat said Tim has claimed that he's conservative right wing, and then one person said he says he's liberal, not conservative. So I don't know.
I saw a clip of him saying he's coming out as a conservative. Yeah.
Oh,
he's just sick of fighting the label, which I mean, I get. I mean, if people are going to continually brand you a conservative, you look bad trying to basically be afraid to be called a conservative because you're like conservative is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a dirty word. People are allowed to be conservatives.
Are they, Adam? Are they?
Well, not according to some people on the left. To some people on the left, they do see conservative as a slur. But why are you giving into those people's narrative?
Right.
That's the way that I look at it. So
go through his content. Overwhelmingly, it's just shitting. Guy who likes to fancy himself an above the fray, enlightened centrist type. But if you go through his content, overwhelmingly, it's just shitting on the left, shitting on the left, shitting on the left, shitting on Democrats, shitting on liberals, shitting on the left.
Look, you can be on the left, Kyle, and shit on the left, especially if you think the left is not acting correctly. Look, you have a bunch of videos shitting on the left for picking Biden as their nominee, right?
Well,
does that make you a conservative, Kyle?
I think there's a few ways to do this. But I want him to finish before I kind of give my thoughts.
It's one of those guys where, like, he could say, oh, I'm an old school liberal, right? Or I'm a centrist. And if you have him write down the policy positions that he claims to believe in, you might do the math on that and go, hey, look, he is a liberal or he is a centrist. But there's a difference between what you are nominally and what you are effectively. He could nominally be an old school liberal or a centrist, but effectively, with all of his content and the overwhelming message that's beamed out through his channel, he's just a right winger, right? He's just conservative.
See, I fundamentally disagree with this argument that if you're attacking liberals, that makes you right wing. Like, look, you can attack the left from a left wing perspective. You can say, look, they're not living up to their principles. Fuck you.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And I agree that Kyle, I think, is doing a really bad job of trying to explain this concept here. And I don't know what so I don't know what his full take on this is. So I don't want to stand by it because I don't agree with it. What I would say is that, yeah, obviously, first of all, if you're on the left, you should be attacking people on the left when they're doing crazy shit. If you're on the right, you should be attacking people on the right when they do crazy shit, obviously.
Yes, we want people on the right to attack racism. We want people on the left to attack fucking communism.
Racism.
Oh, yeah, racism too. Yes. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right. But, yeah, no, so you should, like, people should be policing their own sides. Obviously, most people don't police their own sides. Instead, they do, like, the purity spiral thing, which is kind of the opposite of policing your side.
Yeah.
But that being said, so I think what he's trying to say is, or what I would say, like the more correct way or more intelligent way to say this would be that if all you do, if you say, like, I'm on the left, and then all you do, like 99.9% of your content is just like the left sucks, the left sucks, the left sucks, the left sucks. You're not really differentiating, like, between like a form of the left that you think is correct or good or works, and all you do is criticize the left and you don't criticize the right at all. You're definitely going to attract an audience of primarily people on the right. And then you kind of run that risk of essentially becoming audience captured, because then you'd be afraid to attack the right because you'd be afraid of it, pissing off your own audience at that point.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there is that distinction. This is why Tim Pool has kind of come out on the right, because he's just like, I am not attacking the left from a left-wing perspective. And he does, like, we're far better about making that distinction. Like, we don't like communists. We don't like people who are, like, so far left they want to make the employer-employee relationship illegal. It's like,
of course.
And we should be attacking those people. That's like the equivalent of racism on the right. They're just fucking insane people. And look, the left used to be far more focused on economic issues, and they've completely abandoned economic issues for identity politics. People should call that out, and people on the left should especially call that out.
Right.
So I don't like this framing here, but I do agree with what you're saying about Tim Pool. Like, it's difficult for Tim Pool to say, I'm just against identity politics and I'm attacking the left because of that, when he's constantly making these videos talking about, Biden secretly wanting to kill Trump. Like, how is that?
Right. And yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So now that we set all that up, why are the girls fighting? Well, it's Israel. All right, here we go.
And I think we're wasting money on foreign excursions. Here's the problem. When Nick Fuentes says independence from Israel, I assure you the average person believes that's ridiculous. They have their audience. The average person likes Israel.
What? What does that mean? The average person likes Israel. Okay. Do they like the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in lobbyist money spent by Israel in this country? Do they like that? Do they like that we keep sending them money and weapons all the time, endlessly, as they carry out a brutal assault on Gaza? Do they like that? What does that mean? Oh my God.
I mean, why they don't like that? What the fuck? I think the normal people, like the normies, perceive of Gaza as just basically a criminal enterprise. Yeah.
Well, this is really weird. I have no clue what Kyle's talking about. I don't know why he's framing it. Well, I do know why he's framing it. Kyle's like vehemently anti-Israel.
Right.
Like he's, 100% Israel's genocide, hates Israel. Israel sucks, blah, 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 blah. And okay, but like if you're gonna have this so let me give some background here because Kyle gives zero background to what the fuck Tim's talking about at all. And it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So there was this thing you probably saw this over the weekend where or I guess this was last weekend, was that Nick Fuentes wanted to have his America First hack meeting or whatever at this venue that was going to be, I believe, nearby wherever the Charlie Kirk thing is going on, because that's what they always try to do. And basically, as Nick Fuentes and his team was like setting up, the venue stopped them from setting up and kicked them out.
Right. I heard about that.
And they claimed that the America First people lied in terms of like booking the event and didn't tell them that it was for Nick Fuentes, that it was for a political rally. And they're saying that they were claiming it was just something else completely innocuous, or that a third party was a go-between and that they were claiming it was going to be some sort of like business meeting or something innocuous.
Right.
Right. So that was now I don't know if that's true, but that's what they're claiming. And I'd be curious because, if someone sues someone else, then I guess we'll find out if that's true or not. So that's what they're claiming. They got Fuentes gets kicked out. They end up somehow securing another space at a bar. And then supposedly, now we only got this information from Lauren Witzky,
Right.
the girl screaming at Blair
yeah.
White.
I know her.
In that debate. Yeah. So she's not obviously a very reliable protagonist, but she claims that when they were at this bar that they got this for this venue, like at the last minute, that once that they were like giving speeches or doing something, that some people there who worked there at the bar, some security guards or something, didn't like what was being said, and they tried to basically kick them out or talk over them or play music over them or something. This led to some kind of fight. And then we all saw the video of the security guard who he got his hat knocked off, and then he like jumped forward and Superman punched Sneeko in the face and chipped his tooth. So all this is all the backdrop to the thing that Tim's responding to.
So much drama.
Yes, this is all the drama that Tim's responding to here. That Kyle is not like laid out, so no one knows what the fuck's even going on. And
Kyle, why'd you miss all this drama? This is the good stuff. Sneeko chipped a tooth.
Now, Tim's video on this is actually pretty terrible because he's saying he did the exact thing he did when we covered Tim talking about the divorce situations with the judges, where Tim said, I had a negative experience with a judge, so therefore I believe that all judges act this way. Where he's saying, because Tim personally had a negative experience with the venue canceling on him wrongly, he's assuming that the venue is canceling on Nick Fuentes wrongly, which who knows? Like, you have to know whether that's true or not. He just assumes it's true, but whatever.
Well, they could have been dishonest in the booking. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. That seems highly likely.
It seems probable. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, exactly. I would assume most venues would not be in favor of,
right.
Like, oh, you want to have your like white nationalist,
they know what's up. And look, I saw some clips. I don't know. It seems like they took over some rooftop somewhere. And I mean, they were just yelling completely incendiary shit.
That was the bar. Yeah, that was the bar that they
had. So they went up to the roof of the bar. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So
and they're yelling stuff about Jews this, Jews. Like, who wants that in their bar?
Right. Well, in the venue that it was at before, I was like looking through their past events, because they were claiming that they don't do political events at all. They just do like music and corporate shit. And at least I was looking through their past events, and there wasn't anything political I saw. It was all just like music stuff. So that would seem to track. But anyway, so Tim's video was kind of shitty because he was just assuming that the venues were lying because he experienced a venue lying, which is ridiculous. But anyway, then so they had like an interview where someone from Tim's tenant media was like interviewing Nick about something. And he was saying how like America First means, like fuck Israel, essentially. He didn't use those words, but that's essentially it. So Tim's kind of going off on this, like, why, we shouldn't associate America First, like the brand, is like Nick is kind of basically ruining it for Trump, and it shouldn't be necessarily associated with like an anti-Israel ideology, and really
Yeah.
like a white nationalist ideology. But
Well, that's also something Trump wants to run on. Obviously, he brought peace to the Middle East, and standing next to Nick Fuentes doesn't really.
sure. Well, and also Trump is very pro-Israel, obviously, like
Yeah.
very, very pro-Israel. So, but anyway, so Kyle isn't. He's not even explaining this. So he's saying who. So Tim makes his point. Tim's kind of making a pragmatic point, a strategic point about how like, well, most Americans support Israel, so it's stupid to associate America First as this anti-Israel movement. I mean, obviously, it's more stupid to associate it as a white nationalist movement, but duh. So Kyle makes this really weird statement where he's like, well, who's Tim talking about? Who supports Israel, right? So I looked this up because I didn't know. I haven't looked at the polling data recently because I thought, well, maybe the polling data has shifted against Israel. Maybe Kyle is correct here.
Dude,
right?
doubtful.
Right? So I looked this up. I have absolutely no clue what Kyle's talking about, and I'm guessing this is why he didn't bring up any polling data. So I found 3 different polls. The first one is a Harvard Harris poll. This was from April 29th of this year, so right at the end of April. It said 80% of voters said they support Israel more in the war, and 20% said they support Hamas more.
Oh my God.
Okay, so 80 20 split. Now you might say, but Sitch. The question is kind of unfair because it's like support Israel more than Hamas, right? Obviously, that's kind of a loaded thing, and I agree with you.
I can't believe 20% are like, yeah,
I know,
Hamas. Let me throw my lot in with
I
them.
know that is pretty surprising. But they asked the second question, which is probably I think a little bit more pertinent to sort of like getting a better gauge of the nation's feelings on this. 61% of respondents said that they support the ceasefire only after Hamas is removed and the hostages are freed, and 39% support an unconditional ceasefire. So,
wow. Okay, great.
So, yeah, that would mean 61% would be completely aligned with the Israeli government stated goals. So that would be pretty broad support of Israel. There's
decisive majority.
Yes, exactly. There was a Gallup poll in February that they asked us. It said 56% of Americans are more sympathetic to Israelis. 56%. 26% are more sympathetic to Palestinians, and 18% are either both or neither. So overwhelming majority, 56 to 26 in favor of Israel. 58% of respondents had a favorable opinion of Israel. Only 18% have a favorable opinion of Palestine, or I'm sorry, of the Palestinian Authority specifically. 52% said that they view, now this is kind of interesting, and I think really hurts both Kyle's point and Tim's point. 52% of respondents view the Israel-Palestine conflict as critical to U.S. interests, which is interesting. Now, to be fair, to be clear, that doesn't say which direction, right? You could be either pro-Israel or anti-Israel and still think that the conflict is critical to U.S. interests in terms of supporting or not supporting it.
Right.
So, but 52%, the majority say that they view the conflict as critical. 38% say that the conflict is not critical, but still important. Okay. Only 8% said that the conflict is not important to U.S. interests. So the overwhelming majority of Americans.
Tim's position.
Yeah, which is Tim's position. So Tim is in the extreme minority here, in the 8%, in terms of viewing the conflict as important to U.S. interest. Now this is interesting, and this is very close, actually. This would be the closest thing I saw that would kind of support Kyle, but still not correct. 39% of respondents said that they think America should pressure Palestinians more to get peace, and 36% said that the U.S. should pressure Israel more for peace. So it's only a 3-point difference. So that's very close. There was a Pew poll that said 64% of Americans view the Israeli people as favorable. Only 28% view them as unfavorable. 50% are favorable towards the Palestinian people. 41% are unfavorable towards the Palestinian people. 41% were favorable towards the Israeli government. 51% unfavorable. So the majority of Americans, according to this Pew poll, were unfavorable to the Israeli government. 51%, even though that there was still 64% favorable to the Israeli people. But only 23% were favorable to the Palestinian Authority. A whopping 68% were unfavorable to the Palestinian Authority. And only 8% were favorable to Hamas. 84% were unfavorable to Hamas. So, which shouldn't come as a surprise. And then let's see. read that one. Then the last poll I looked at, which was kind of interesting, was there was an Ipsos poll from May of this year that said 20% of Americans feel we are not supporting Israel enough. All right. 20% want more America's support of Israel. 40% feel that we are supporting Israel the right amount. So it means that the majority, 60%, are either at, are pro-Israel, right? 60% either say we're doing the right thing or we're not doing enough. And 38%, the minority, say that they feel the U.S. is doing too much to support Israel.
Right.
So I don't know what. So Tim is correct here. Tim is completely correct. If you just look at the polling data, unless Kyle has some other polling that I'm unaware of, Tim is completely correct. Americans, if you look at the data, do support Israel more than they don't support Israel, which is obviously why the Democrats, from a strategic position, are kind of in this weird place of how to support Israel. Because if you start breaking these numbers down by political party, you find that there are more Democrats, I think, that are unfavorable to Israel than favorable. But then it gets even more interesting when you break it down by age group. You find that all of like the overwhelming majority of unfavorability in the Democrat Party towards Israel is in the 18 to 34 range age
Go
group.
figure. Yeah.
And all
straight
the
out of
other, yeah,
college.
exactly. And all the other age groups that are older are all majority favoring Israel. And so it does put the Democrats in this weird position because obviously the 18 to 34 range is the least likely to vote range anyway. So
Yeah, and the younger coalition I think was essential in getting Biden elected in 2020. So he's super
Right.
worried he's going to lose that coalition.
Right. So yeah. So anyway, so I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because Kyle's very biased against Israel, but he should at least, acknowledge that Americans do broadly support, at least in the majority, support Israel.
Tim has been weird on this issue of Israel. It's been very strange to watch. It's like he tries to not take a position and not piss people off, but then eventually he feels like he has to take a position, and then he kind of talks out of both sides of his mouth. All right, one more time from the top. Here we go.
And I think we're wasting money on foreign excursions. Here's the problem. When Nick Fuentes says independence from Israel, I assure you the average person believes that's ridiculous. They have their audience. The average person likes Israel. They do not agree with Nick Fuentes on this one.
Independence from Israel. Now, of course, when Nick Fuentes says that, what he means is there's a satanic cabal of Jews running the world. And that's factually not true, right? But if you mean independence from Israel, as in stop with all the AFPAC money, stop with all the Israel lobby money, stop with them buying our politicians in the same way that the Saudi lobby buys our politicians, in the same way that the NRA buys our politicians. Do people want independence from Israel in that respect? Absolutely they would. They'd want independence from any fucking foreign government that's spending a colossal amount of money to control our politics.
They do not agree with.
I mean, okay, obviously, this is really silly. Obviously, if you ask someone like in a poll, do you want a foreign government to control your politicians, right? Everyone's going to answer like no, obviously, right? That's very,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, obviously. But that's
Simple.
very different than saying like, well, do you support this country? Do you support this country in the war? Do you support Israel? Do you support Ukraine? Do you support Saudi Arabia? Do you support any of these countries? Like, that's a very different question to ask completely. So it seems a little like silly that Kyle is framing it in this very, very specific kind of loaded way. So especially when he's like doing this weird thing where he's like he's not running defense for Nick Fuentes, obviously, but he's like sort of running defense for the idea of, quote, independence from Israel.
Yeah.
With Nick Fuentes on this one. The other big issue is that a lot of Christians, a lot of
I mean, he's basically supporting the narrative that AFPAC is running the world, right? I mean,
Or running, that their lobbyist efforts are having substantial effect on American politicians, when I know that AFPAC spends a lot on American politicians, and I'm not even opposed to, I think I'm actually in favor of AFPAC being labeled a foreign lobbyist group? Because
yeah.
I mean, they
Why
should be.
not?
If
But
they're doing,
they are. There's a lot of Jewish people and Israelis in the U.S. that are U.S. citizens. So
right. But like, if you have a lobby group or lobbyist group that is primarily or substantially, its lobbying efforts are to help a foreign country, I mean, that seems like it should be labeled a foreign lobby group, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Just
sure.
definitionally. I don't know what kind of restrictions that puts on the group, but that just makes sense to me. But that being said, I mean, you still get in the position of I don't think I think the majority reason that politicians are supporting Israel isn't because of like, oh, well, they're getting money. It's because that's where their voters are. They
Yeah,
feel
of
like they
course.
would, yeah, they feel like they could pick up votes by supporting Israel, and they feel like they lose too many votes by not supporting Israel, generally.
Kyle also believes that the NRA runs Congress, that the drug
Right.
lobby runs Congress, that
Right.
like every single one of these lobbies basically runs Congress. So
Right, which is kind of annoying because it's like if that was true, then they could just like why doesn't the NRA just pay Democrats off, right, to vote against gun control? Or why doesn't Planned Parenthood just pay off Republicans to vote in favor of abortion?
well, there's this thing called elections, Sitch, where the voters actually have to vote for the candidates for them to keep their jobs. So ultimately, the people who vote for them keep them in office.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
I think you'd have a better argument to say that like the Planned Parenthood or the NRA or the was it the just blanking on it, the Israel PAC.
APAC.
APAC, yeah. I think it's a better argument to say that they're spending a lot of their money like creating propaganda or creating,
To sway
social media
voters.
posts
Yeah.
and things like that to persuade people in various in districts. And then those people then go and they call up their politicians and then that can, lead to movement there. I think that's I think that's more an accurate depiction of what's probably going on
They
with all
put
these
pressure
lobbying
on
groups.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Evangelicals want us to help Israel because of the Holy Land.
Take that one step further, Tim. Why else? Why else do evangelical fundamentalist Christians want us to help Israel? Because they think that's where the end times is going to be ushered in. That's where the apocalypse, that's where Armageddon is going to happen.
It doesn't matter. It's still the evangelicals are a giant voter coalition in the United
Yes.
States. Even though they
Yes.
believe this, I don't believe this myself, but I mean, there's still a voter coalition that they're trying to cater to. So that's
course.
why they support APAC, obviously.
Right.
Obviously.
But I mean, I guess you can bring it up. You could say it like the way because Kyle wants him to say it this way because he wants to shine a light on the morality of the issue. Which,
Right.
if you care about that, then fine. But if you're just talking about like the logistical political game that's going on, it's kind of irrelevant to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he does want to shine a light on it because he feels Republicans catering to these voter coalitions is immoral, and he wants to
Right.
point that out.
Right, but-
Obviously.
But it's silly to me because, and you'll see here, like Kyle's just wagging his finger at the morality of the situation, completely ignoring the politics of the situation and how it breaks down. And like you just finger wagging at the Republicans or the Democrats that support Israel that's not going to do anything.
How would the Democrats go after that voter coalition? Could they do it on the fact that Israel is a democracy and that we're supporting democracy in the Middle East? I mean, that might be a good pitch.
Well, I would now, I don't know if it's a certainty. I would guess my intuition would tell me that the Democrats have no shot at picking up the evangelical Christians who believe that Israel needs to be in the hands of Jews in order for the end times to come. I'm guessing that those people are not going to vote Democrat under almost any circumstance.
Yeah, that would be a tough sell, right? Especially since the Democrats are so kind of anti-religious these days, and
Or at
like
least
that's
perceived as anti-religious.
kind of
Yeah.
caught up in their brand. Especially,
Right.
look, even Kyle Kulinski here wagging the finger about they believe religious things and therefore
Yeah.
look, they still get to vote, man.
They do.
That's the thing about democracy. They
Mhm.
still got to vote.
What's going to happen? You're going to have most of the Jews get murdered and a small percentage of them get to go up to heaven. But the only reason they defend Israel so vehemently is because they think Israel needs to have all of the territory in order for Jesus to come back. And then most of the Jews can be killed and they'll support it, and only a small percentage will get into heaven because they'll convert. Finish that thought. Don't make it sound...
The way he's explaining it, I like the idea of like, it paints this very funny picture. It's like we have the end times going on. There's like locusts flying through the air, demons roaming the earth. And we have like the Gallup poll, like to evangelical Christians, like, do you think that the Jews should die? Yes or no? It's like, oh, majority of Christians say that they're in favor of the Jews die. The way
Yeah.
you like said that, like, oh, they're in favor of it. It's like, okay.
I don't think they would answer that way on polls. I don't think
Yeah.
the polls would show
Right.
that. Look, I thought of the pitch. I thought of the great pitch for the Democrats. How about
What?
this? They could pitch to the evangelicals, we will make the end times come faster because we're all
Oh.
secular atheists and
By
God
making
hates
things like
us.
worse, right?
Yeah.
Oh, smart. Okay,
What do you
that's
think?
smart.
They
That's
could
a
pick
good,
up those
that's a good
votes.
pitch. That's
Yeah.
there you go. I like it. I like it. Now
They could
listen.
win.
Well, here's my question. I don't know the theological answer here. I know that like if the Jesus Christian end time should occur, like I, being part of the chosen people, get a second chance. Okay, I get to be like, whoa, Jesus came back. I'm switching, right?
Yeah, you
switching
would have to
to-
convert during the apocalypse.
Right, right. Well, who's
Well,
the fuck's not
are
going
you
to
gonna
convert
do
during the
that?
apocalypse, right? Who's going to be like, you know what? No, fuck it.
Oh,
Like,
Sitch, look, you're against everything. I could imagine me saying, "Look, that literally is Jesus," and you going, "Well," like, come on,
listen,
you're not going to believe it. Be honest here.
I mean, listen, if demons are roaming the earth and there's like plagues happening and Jesus is like floating down from heaven, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna go with the floating guy.
Well, are those
I'm gonna
really
be like, well,
demons?
you know, it doesn't hurt. Right? I'm gonna go with this guy. It seems like
Are
this
those
close.
demons, or is this a figment of my imagination, Adam?
No. See, you're doing a bad Sitch impression. Be like, what? I mean, it could be alien. This could be an alien invasion, right? They're trying
See,
to trick
look,
us.
look,
Yeah, see,
I knew it.
there you go. They're doing it, Brown. But see, look, I get a second chance here. I get like my get out of jail free card. I get to go like, oh, I'm gonna go switch to the Team Jesus now. I don't know. Now, can you switch to Team Jesus?
Look, I'm already an atheist for Jesus, so I'm like, I've got one foot in the camp already.
Oh, okay. So you're.
I
but
just
does that
got to pick
count?
the other foot up.
You get so you get the pass there. So okay.
Yeah, look.
All right.
I mean, I might be raptured out already. I could be gone.
Right.
It could just be you.
I know you wouldn't be raptured out because you're still atheist. You'd have to accept Jesus into
Really?
your heart. I would imagine.
Okay.
Would you not?
Look, Jesus is already accepted into my heart. The problem is I see Jesus as a fictional character.
Well, there you go. You're not gonna get raptured with that attitude.
Yeah, maybe you're right. That might be a bad
Yes.
selling point for me. I think
So, but
only 144,000 people get in though. So I mean, it's
Wait, there's like
pretty
a-
exclusive.
There's like a little limit on heaven at the gates of heaven. There's like a
Yeah, you don't know
know,
about this?
you have like a fire marshal there that's like you cannot exceed this many people in the
They
club.
they have strict immigration laws in
Really?
heaven, man. It's 144,000 people, and that's it. It's an
144,000
exclusive
people. I've
party.
never heard
Yeah,
of this before in my life.
yeah.
Wait, no, this is just Jehovah's Witnesses, though. I don't. Do
That's
other
not
Christians
Joe.
believe this?
No, yeah. Look, it's in the Revelations. It's in the Bible.
Let's see. Book of
a
Revelations, the
cap.
number 144,000 appears 3 times.
Yeah, that's it.
Huh.
You can't mess with the Bible, man. That's the ultimate authority. Look, Sitch
I
is
don't.
already
I
trying
think
to
it's.
say.
I think it's only the Jehovah's Witnesses that believe that's the number of people that get in.
Really? Okay.
I think so.
I mean, I think there's probably sects of evangelicals that do believe it. So,
Hmm.
but
don't know.
obviously, people don't want to cap it at that because they're like, well, some people probably do. They're like, it's
I
only
mean-
me and my close friends. It's only our denomination that gets in.
Isn't there more than 144,000 Jehovah's Witnesses? Like
There's more than
total? Like that's like a very small number of people.
I think there's like 3 billion Christians. I mean,
I
that's
know,
going to be
like-
a lot of Christians left out in the cold, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I was gonna say I don't think like I don't think most denominations of Christianity believe that. That number is way low. Okay.
Please do not listen to Adam for your theology. Ken says in the chat.
Right.
Come on, guys. Join my church.
Right.
benign. Don't make it sound so benign. Oh, Christians support, evangelicals support it because it's the Holy Land. Goes a lot deeper than that now, doesn't it? They have some end times fucking insane fantasy, mystical bullshit, which is a cynical reason for supporting Israel. And by the way, like I said, they want most of them to die anyway when push comes to shove. All right.
I mean,
here we go.
doesn't Kyle believe in a one-state solution? I mean, talk about
Mystical
farcical
bullshit.
fantasies. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
come
was
on.
I was gonna say mystical bullshit's a good way not to get into heaven. Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Kyle doesn't believe in heaven, so.
I know. Instant Sacks for 7 months says, but how will the end times affect the economy? Sitch? I'm gonna guess. Listen, this is like a crazy, like far out prediction. I'm gonna guess that during the end times, the economy not gonna be doing too well.
Right.
People not gonna be out there shopping, spending money. Just a
What do
guess.
you mean?
Just a
Security
guess.
costs are going to go through the roof. Everyone's going to have to pay security guards.
Yeah, but I don't think money is gonna have the same, like paper money is gonna have the same value.
You pay
Just
them
guessing
beef
here.
jerky and alcohol, Sitch. It's the
You gotta-
end times. So
you gotta
haven't you
pay with
seen any movies?
You got to pay with food, water, and holy water so you can fight off the demons. Right?
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Slate King for $10 says check open secrets foreign lobbying totals. Israel is like 10. Excuse me. Israel is like 10 with the top 3 basically doubling them. Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Who are
Jewish
the,
people make a lot of money. They're, of course,
No, but
gonna
he's saying that
protect
they're
their
only
interests.
10th. So the top 3. So the number 1 top is China. Number 2 is Japan. Look at that. That's interesting. Wouldn't have expected. Number 3 is Liberia. What the fuck? Liberia? What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing at J-Max super chat. It's fucking hilarious.
Well, pay attention.
Okay,
South
I'm paying
Korea.
attention.
South Korea is next, then Saudi Arabia, the Marshall Islands, Qatar, Bahamas, the United Arab Emirates, and then Israel. Though, so I guess the that's interesting. I had no idea.
This is
I
just
guess-
them giving our money back to us. Like we give them foreign aid, and the leaders over there give us back donations. It's a money laundering scheme. Sitch.
Maybe I would have to look into what exactly constitutes, like what exactly is open secrets constituting in this money calculation.
Don't
Though
look into it. Just
I
trust me.
I would guess though that the anti-Israel people would claim that if you included APAC, that the number would be higher. I don't know how much APAC gives to people, but how much does
St.
APAC
Paul 08 in the
spend
chat
on-
says gold standard would crash our economy. I'm so tempted to pen that. But we have the pen tweet of our new media channel, so can't do it right
So
now.
according to Open Secrets, APAC has contributed $13 million so far. So even if you included that in the total, Israel would still be the 10th slot. So there you go. That's interesting. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that. Fascinating. JMac, our Circa 5, thanks so much for the $50. Says the 5th horn is going to sound, and Sitch is going to look at Adam and say, look, there's a perfectly logical explanation for this. Side note, everyone should read Revelations, even non-believers. It's a fucking trip. Also, Song of Solomon is a fun read, smirk face.
We
There you
look.
go.
We had to do book reports. I think it was like 6th grade, and I was like, "I'm gonna do a book report on a Revelation."
Did you really?
I did. Yeah, I did. It's so
That's
baller.
hilarious.
So
That is pretty baller, yeah.
Yeah, look, Revelations is a crazy book. Yeah.
No, I know. Like I remember reading the New Testament for the first time. I don't know if I was in high school or college. I was like, what's up with this? Let me see what this Jesus stuff's all about. And it's funny because it's so much easier to read than like the Torah, which is like, oh my God, it's like a fucking slog to get through that. So and
Yeah.
also the New Testament much shorter. Okay. I think that's why Christianity is so much more popular. It's got a nice narrative. Okay. You've got your like hero's journey with Jesus. You don't really
Oh,
have
yeah.
that with Judaism or anything. And then also it's like, like 100 times shorter than the Old Testament. But so
Yeah.
I read it and I got to the Revelations part and I'm like, this is wacky. This is like a wacky drug trip. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Revelations
great.
is great. Yeah, it's very fun.
There's
Song of
dragons.
Solomon,
There's
I've
all
never read
kinds
Song of
stuff.
Solomon. That's that weird like erotic poem in the Bible, isn't it, or something?
Song of Solomon. I don't know that.
Yeah, some kind of weird erotic poem. So, Gene, the angry penguin for $5. Thanks so much. Says JMac out here suggesting you read the adult section of the Bible. Don't you have Tyranids to paint, sir? There you go. Okay,
Paint
let's
your figurines.
let's keep going here.
Is this my guy? I'm trying to go to people and say, America first. And the first thing that pops in their minds is Nick Fuentes hates Israel.
When you say America first, the first thing people will think of is Donald Trump. That's what they'll think of. The more pure among the America First crowd would say something like, yeah, let's stop spending money on wars and stop giving all these countries our money and let's focus on ourselves here at home. What are you talking about? Somebody says America First, the first thing they think of is not fucking Nick Fuentes. You're way too online, son.
This is so weird. This was so weird. This is why I wanted to cover the video. Like, you think normally someone on the left they'd want to do two things. They'd want to smear Donald Trump with any
Nick
sort of
Fuentes.
racist accusation they can, right?
Yes.
Okay, like in the bad faith way, number one.
Yes.
Or in the good faith way, you think, well, okay, even if they weren't going to do that, and they didn't want to smear Donald Trump as like a racist, if they don't think he deserved it, if you do have Fuentes, who's adopted the America First label and is using it to mean like white nationalism or anti-Semitism, shouldn't you be in favor of Tim or someone else that you identify as on the right? Shouldn't you be in favor of them trying to like tell people to like fuck that guy, like to distance themselves from that guy because it's sort of hurting the mainstream Republican Party? Like, shouldn't you be in favor of trying to separate the mainstream Republican Party from Nick Fuentes?
Yes, obviously, if you care about the country, but no, if you just want to win the next election.
Yeah, but he's not doing it from the perspective of like wanting to associate Trump with the label so that he can smear him. He's like doing it because he's so reflexively anti-Israel that he's just like mad that Tim is telling people to not be Fuentes fans because Fuentes is anti-Israel or something. It's really weird. It's like a really weird like the different views are sort of butting up against each other, and the anti-Israel obsession sort of like is like possessing Kyle in this moment to take like a weird position here.
Trump is a little bit in contradiction on this issue because he's so pro-Israel, but he is very isolationist. So he's in conflict. Trump is. And Trump
that's true.
supporters
That is true. But he's in favor of Israel because his base is in favor of Israel.
Right. The evangelicals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know it's very strange.
Look, Kyle just anti-Israel because of the whole Gaza thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Not even close. Most of these people who say America First probably don't even know who the fuck Nick Fuentes is.
I mean, he is right about that. People do think of America First as Donald Trump. Well, and not many people know who Nick Fuentes is.
But there's two problems with that. It depends. So if you like go ask a random person on the street,
right,
America First, yeah, they'll probably associate it on average with Donald Trump. If you ask someone in politics, I think most people in politics know who Nick Fuentes is, and they know that he's adopted the American First label, and he's trying to grift in on it. That's why he adopted the label, right? Is to sort of use a label that has a positive association in the Republican Party to sort of insert his own far more extreme radical politics into the mainstream Republican Party. Like, that's why he would adopt the label, right? And so
yeah, he's he's creating confusion in the marketplace. Is what they usually call it.
Exactly. And so Kyle, I feel like in any other situation would understand this and be on Tim's side, but because it's like the Israel thing, he has to like be against him.
Right. Yeah.
And by the way, Trump himself is a cuck to the Israel lobby. There's no doubt about that. And a lot of Republicans, certainly the elected ones, are cucks to the Israel lobby. And there's some percentage of the Republican voter base that is pro-Israel. But there's also some that aren't. And he's of course overlooking all of them.
What does that have?
Tiny minority of Nick Fuentes supporters, right? The overwhelming Republican Party is pro-Israel.
Yeah.
Because it's evangelicals. And obviously, I think the left constantly overstates the amount of anti-Semitism and racism on the right just because it serves their purpose. But I think they're out to lunch on that.
Yeah, when all those like polls where I was reading like that the favorability for Israel was still significantly higher than the unfavorability. That's the total. When you break it down by party, the Republican Party is still overwhelmingly in favor of supporting Israel.
At this point, I would argue there's more anti-Semitism on the left than on the right because they associate it with colonialism.
So 71%, I'm sorry, that's from last year. 64% of Republicans approve of Israel's military actions in Gaza. 64%.
Yeah, huge.
have to do with us securing our borders, bringing jobs back, getting rid of people like Joe Biden, getting accountability for the corruption, cleaning up our streets. No idea. No idea. I believe, whether intentionally or not, it is sabotaging the idea of America first. They take the name, they take the brand, and they taint it. They poison the well. That's why a lot of people accuse him of being a Fed. I don't know about all that. What I can tell
Tim totally throws him under the bus. Is he a Fed? Oh, I don't know.
you is there's a lot of people who aren't going to say America first, because Nick Fuentes certainly is the most famous person pushing that message. Now, I do get it. Donald Trump pushes that message too.
What is he talking about? Nick Fuentes is the biggest? That is so not true. He's so online. Oh my God, this is embarrassing to watch.
Nick Fuentes certainly is the most famous person pushing that message. Now, I do get it. Donald Trump pushes that message too, but Nick has run this brand. And so what happens is a lot of people are going to begin to associate America first with strict anti-Israel policy. I don't care about Israel.
Really? You have a weird way of showing it. You have a weird way of showing it by going on a long-winded, meandering rant about how stop being so anti-Israel. I don't care about Israel, but stop being we don't want to associate America first with being anti-Israel. Tim, my guy, Israel, as of this very second, is carrying out a genocide and an ethnic cleansing.
What?
The correct.
Sitch, which one is it? Is it a genocide or an ethnic cleanse? Now they're just like, let's just go
It's
with both.
It's both. Well, first of all, when I heard this, I started laughing, not because of like the concept of committing a genocide.
Oh,
but
yeah,
just like,
sure.
no, I just started laughing because it's so funny because like Tim is not talking about a moral question whatsoever. He's talking about like a pragmatic, like
Yeah, political question.
strategy question. And Kyle just like kind of busts in the door and he's like, did you know that Israel's doing a genocide?
Yeah.
It's like, what the, like, it's just so, it's funny because it's so out of touch with what, like, the issues that Tim is grappling. Now, you can say that you think it doesn't matter. You think the moral question is more important. That's fine. But when you, like, the way it's, like, set, the way Kyle's setting up, he's just so detached from whatever the fuck Tim's talking about. He's so, like, in his own world, which I guess makes sense because this video, like Kyle's video, exists only to virtue signal to his own audience.
Of course.
When you say like the magic words, Israel's committing a genocide, they all start swooning and smashing the like button and, you know, masturbating furiously. So
Where's that meme? The meme of the guy standing in the corner at the party saying they don't know Israel's committing a genocide.
Genocide, right, yeah.
Everyone's like, what? Yeah, okay.
Well, there is something kind of interesting here going on too with Tim, which is that, you know, he's talking about, obviously he doesn't want, you know, he knows because he's looking at the polling data that Republicans overwhelmingly support Israel. He doesn't want Nick to basically be able to grift / steal the American First label from Trump and associate it with anti-Israel stuff. Yeah, Tim doesn't want that because he thinks it'll hurt Trump. But there's another element here too, which I found annoying in Tim's video. Tim is like being coy with at least in this video. I don't know if it was in the past. In the video that we're watching, Tim is being way too coy and way too tepid about just being like, well, Nick is also a white nationalist, right? And anti-Semite. And that'd be the bigger reason why you wouldn't want you wouldn't want Nick to be able to like associate his brand with Trump, is because you don't really want like white nationalism and anti-Semitism to be associated with Trump.
Not good for Trump. Definitely not.
Right.
It's even though that's what CNN tries to do, like 24/7, right? Associated with white nationalism and
obviously, but that's why Tim wouldn't want Nick to be able to associate it with Trump. But this leads to this like weird messaging error because in Tim's video, he's like seemingly too afraid, at least in that video, to call Nick that. And so because he doesn't want to call Nick that, but he still wants to disassociate Nick from Trump, he's like focusing on the anti-Israel thing instead of focusing on like the white nationalist thing. And then because he's focusing on the Israel thing instead of the white nationalist thing for whatever reason, then Kyle gets involved in the conversation. Right. It's like this like really weird like domino effect happening here.
Did somebody say Israel? You know they're committing a genocide, right?
Right.
Correct position on that is to be anti that. That's correct. Now, I want to be clear. Nick Fuentes does not take the position he takes because, like a lefty, he's anti-genocide, he's anti-ethnic cleansing, he wants human rights for Palestinians. That's not why he's taking that position. He's taking that position because he's anti-Semitic, and he thinks there's an evil cabal of Jews running the entire world. And so it's a convenient thing for him to latch onto, right? So it's not coming from a pure place. But let's also be very clear. The idea that it would be a problem for a Republican candidate to say, you know what, we sent too much money and too many weapons to Israel. I think it's time, they take care of it themselves. That's really not our business. The idea that that's a knock against that person, no, not even close.
If it's none of our business, why is he even making this video about the genocide? He just said take care of it themselves. So let them take care of it.
Right, but that's not Kyle's position. Kyle's position is America should be intervening, but intervening on behalf of the Palestinians.
Well, but he's saying
Tim's position is that we should just not be involved whatsoever because he wants to take the isolationist approach.
Right. That's not Kyle's position as well?
No,
we shouldn't be sending weapons to Israel. When he shouldn't be sending weapons to Israel, he means we shouldn't be sending.
No. Kyle
has an isolationist position as well.
No, he does. No. He doesn't, because Kyle agrees that we shouldn't be sending weapons to Israel, but Kyle thinks that America should be pressuring Israel through some means to stop that. America should be defending the Palestinians. Where Tim's position, I believe, is that America should just not be supporting Israel and not give a shit what they do over there.
Right. Kyle's not clearly articulating his position here.
Well, he has in other videos.
Okay.
But it's weird too, because Kyle, obviously, he's not afraid to call Nick, white nationalist, obviously, because he doesn't lose any political capital for doing that. But it's weird too, because you would think that from a strategic position, Kyle would agree that he would not want Nick Fuentes' reasons for being anti-Israel to be conflated with his reasons for being anti-Israel. And so therefore he'd want there to be able to be Republicans who could be against supporting Israel without getting tied into Nick Fuentes. So he should actually be on kind of like the same side as Tim, but for a different reason.
Right. Yeah.
Because if the only people on the right that are coming out or being associated with anti-Israel are like the Nick Fuenteses, like obviously that's not going to help Kyle's goals.
Unfortunately, today people don't really care about the reason. If they can pin you to somebody else, you have a similar position to someone that they don't like, they'll use that against you.
Right.
You'll be pissing off is the extremist, fundamentalist evangelical Christians who want the end times, and all of the politicians who are bought by the Israel lobby. You're not going to get a staunch disagreement from conservatives who will be like, yeah, I don't know why we do all this foreign aid anyway, right? What a weird segment from Tim Pool.
It means as much to me as Burma and Saudi Arabia does. I have questions about our funding of all of these places.
If Tim Pool says, I don't want to fund Israel, then what's the point of this fucking segment? Why are you doing such a long segment? All right, one more time. We'll speed it up a little bit. Here we go.
And I think
I don't understand why Kyle doesn't understand this. Like, we were able to articulate within 2 seconds what Tim's position is.
Yeah, he thinks Nick Fuentes is tainting Trump.
Yeah, tainting Trump's America First brand. Yes, very clearly. And he's associating that. Obviously associating with white nationalism, though Tim doesn't want to say that for whatever reason. So he's kind of focusing on the anti-Israel position, which is true because the majority of Republicans do support Israel.
Yep.
And it's also weird, like this clip that Kyle's reacting to is from a Twitter account that is like a pro Nick Fuentes, seemingly white nationalist Twitter account.
Oh, really?
That's kind of weird. Kyle's using this as like a source as opposed to just pulling up the Tim video that it's from, but whatever, I guess.
We're wasting money on foreign excursions. Here's the problem. When Nick Fuentes says independence from Israel, I assure you the average person believes that's ridiculous. They have their audience. The average person likes Israel. They do not agree with Nick Fuentes on this one. The other big issue is that a lot of Christians, a lot of evangelicals want us to help Israel because of the Holy Land. Regardless, my attitude is this. My guy, I'm trying to go to people and say, America first. And the first thing that pops in their minds is Nick Fuentes hates Israel. What does that have to do with us securing our borders, bringing jobs back, getting rid of people like Joe Biden, getting accountability for the corruption?
What a principled conservative would say is those things are linked because we keep sending billions and billions of dollars to Israel when we could be spending it on those things you just listed. That's what a principled conservative would say. Now, there are very few of them, but that's what a principled conservative would say. And by the way, this is the same logic that Tim Pool understands completely.
Wait. I think a libertarian would say that if they're an isolationist. A conservative wouldn't say that. Why conservatives are generally in favor of Israel for their conservative religious beliefs.
Yeah, and when did conservatives become isolationists?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah. I mean, this is a new phenomenon, and I think it is because there's so many libertarians that are perceiving themselves as right-wing and voting with the conservative coalition. But I don't see conservatives as isolationists. I see them being loyal to our allies around the world. The Loyalty Foundation, conservatives.
I think a lot of it stems from the Ukraine situation, which is, I don't know if the Ukraine-Russia thing is a good barometer for people's feelings, like the traditional left-right feelings on being pro or anti-war, because there's way too much political backstory wrapped up into Russia for the last 10 years, with the left hating Russia and the right trying to downplay Russia as being important because of the association with Russia and Hillary's emails and Trump and all that other shit. So
Right.
I think the mistake is people using the Russia-Ukraine situation as a barometer to say like, oh, well, the right's become anti-war now or the left's become pro-war now.
The problem with the Russia thing is that Putin has done such a good job of branding himself as a conservative. So,
Well, that too. That's part of
Yeah.
it. Right. Even though Russia's not. Like if there was a situation where there was, an objectively communist country invading, a not communist, like, China invades Taiwan or something. Now, because of the movement that has been started by the Russia-Ukraine thing, like maybe you'll get a lot of people on the right now would be against, would be isolationists, would be against having supporting Taiwan. But like if Russia Ukraine thing never happened and what happened was China invades Taiwan, I think you would see the majority of Republicans would be vastly in favor of supporting Taiwan against China, against
fuck
communist
yeah.
China.
Are you kidding me? Come
I
on.
think you'd see that. You'd still have the isolationists, but I think they'd be in the minority.
This is a problem. I see this in our comments quite regularly. It's just this idea that because you personally identify as a conservative or a libertarian or a progressive, that whatever feelings you have are the bog standard feelings of conservatives or libertarians or progressives. Like, no, there's a wide diversity of thought inside the conservative movement. So
Right.
yeah, the
Well,
idea
definitely-
that there's like a streak of isolationism in the conservative movement. I would not say that the conservative movement is broadly isolationist.
I would not wager so. I believe if you look historically, populist movements are generally more isolationist than not. I'm not 100% on that.
Well,
Obviously,
that makes sense. Obviously,
yeah, the energy about the isolationism is more than just the standard libertarian view of isolationism. That's more traditional. It's also viewed in sort of like this, the elites are doing all these things against my wishes. The country is spending all my money in ways that are wasteful. So I don't want it to be wasted on like a foreign country. Like that's like, so there is like a different attitude that exists in the Republican Party now than has existed, recently for the last 20, 30, 40 years. And that's
Yeah.
also motivating the isolationism. So you definitely do have to take that into consideration.
Completely. When it comes to Ukraine, he'll make that exact argument. Why are we sending so much money? Why are we sending so many weapons? Don't we have enough problems here? We need to stop. We need to declare independence from Ukraine, right? He'd be fine making that argument for Ukraine, but on Israel, he's not.
Isn't that Tim's position on Israel? Is that he doesn't think that America should be sending money or be involved? Isn't that literally Tim's position in Israel?
of course,
Okay.
Tim's totally isolationist.
Right. Okay. He was just making a specific point that associating Trump's brand with being specifically anti-Israel, well, really to be specifically white nationalist or anti-Semitic is like a losing bid here, which is obviously true.
It is.
Yeah.
It totally is.
In Israel, he's not.
Cleaning up our streets. No idea. No idea. I believe, whether intentionally or not, it is sabotaging the idea of America first. They take the name, they take the brand, and they taint it. They poison the well. That's why a lot of people accuse him of being a Fed. I don't know about all that. What I can tell you is there's a lot of people who aren't going to say America first because Nick Fuentes certainly is the most famous person pushing that message. Now, I do get it. Donald Trump pushes that message too, but Nick has run this brand. And so what happens is a lot of people are going to begin to associate America first with strict anti-Israel policy. I don't care about Israel. I don't want to fund Israel. It means as much to me as Burma and Saudi Arabia does. I have questions about our funding of all of these places.
The Republicans are in a really weird place right now, and I'll explain why. On the one hand, you do have the Nick Fuentes types, the ones who are just flat out white supremacists, ethno-staters. In the case of Nick Fuentes, he's a literal Nazi. He defended Hitler, right? You have some of those that you have to deal with, and they don't want us supporting Israel, right? Not for the right reasons, but they don't want it. Okay, so that's some percentage. Then you have the evangelical Christians, the ones who want to usher in the end times, and you have the politicians who are totally bought by the Israel lobby and corrupt and willing to go along with them no matter what. So you're stuck between these two positions that are irreconcilable. They're irreconcilable. Now, by the way, which position is winning within the party? Well, Donald Trump himself is going out there saying Joe Biden is pro-Hamas, Joe Biden is pro-terrorist, Joe Biden has abandoned Israel. I will never abandon Israel, right? So they're saying we're going to the right of Biden on this, and we're going to be giant neocon, warmonger extremists, send Israel all the money, send Israel all the weapons. And in the midst of that ideology, winning within elite Republican circles, Tim Pool goes out there and does a segment, basically what? Decrying the people who are anti-Israel conservatives? Again, they're not doing it for the right reasons. Let's be clear about that. They're just flat out anti-Semitic, right? But this is your big beef? Why, if you, Tim Pool, are quote unquote...
Yeah, but this is so weird. Kyle, why the fuck would you want, from his perspective, if he wants the conservatives, he wants Republicans to be anti-Israel, why the fuck would he want them associated with Nick Fuentes? Like, he should be on Tim's side here. This is retarded.
Well, he's more in favor of the anti-Israel position, so that's why he's supporting.
I get it, but he's being too emotionally involved in this or he's too virtue signaling to his audience with the genocide thing here. Because again, if Nick's position became, the rallying cry for the Republicans, the Republican Party, if the only anti-Israel people in the Republican Party were on doing it from Nick Fuentes' position, not only would that hurt the
That'd be
Republicans,
scary as fuck.
That would be, but that would also completely devastate Kyle Kulinski, because then naturally his anti-Israel position would get automatically associated with Nick Fuentes' anti-Israel position too.
He's trying not to do that. The left has the same problem with the irreconcilable coalitions over Israel, right? I mean, they have the far left who are just completely want to abandon all support for Israel. And I mean, some of them are even supporting Hamas. Obviously, the people in those polls are probably on the left.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's why Democrats are in a hard position regarding the Israel situation. So,
but he's pointing it out so clearly on the right. He's saying, obviously, they've got these two irreconcilable coalitions.
Sure.
Right.
Well, the Democrats, I believe there are polling that shows that there is a majority, as I said, a majority of Democrats who are against Israel right now.
Right.
But that, in terms of against their military action, I don't know if you say well, are you in favor of not supporting Israel whatsoever? You might get a completely different answer, right? So
people are not going to vote for Biden based on the Israel. Biden's going to lose voters in his voter coalition, especially the coalition that he cobbled together in 2020 over the Israel-Palestine stuff. That
Well, I'm
seems
sorry.
obvious.
You think he is, or what? I'm sorry. I think you said both things. You said he is going to lose votes, or
He's
not
going to
gonna
lose votes, yes.
Okay, right.
He's going. People who voted for him in 2020 are not going to vote for him in 2024 over Israel Palestine. I don't think they're going to vote for Trump,
Mhm.
but I do think they're not going to vote for him.
Yeah, he's
Especially
going
the
to
young people that he got, pitching them student debt forgiveness and stuff like that. Especially since the student debt forgiveness, I'm not even sure if it came through. Like, he's going to lose a lot of those voters over this issue.
Yeah,
So I mean,
no.
it's funny that Kyle is like making this video to kind of throw shade at Tim Pool and talk about how it's destroying his voter coalition when he's literally, I mean, he's hurting his own voter coalition on the left.
Well, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if Kyle's talking about this. I don't know if he's in the position where I don't know if Kyle is willing to sacrifice, from his perspective, Trump winning again in order to push the Democrats to be more anti-Israel, which I don't even know I don't think it worked that way, because even if the majority of Democrats are against the current Israeli government's military actions in Gaza, the majority of Democrats are not anti-Zionist the way that Kyle is. The majority of Democrats still support Israel being able to exist as a country. They just don't support the military action that's going on right now. Or they don't
Sure,
support the Benjamin Netanyahu government right now.
but promoting the genocide, ethnic cleansing narrative. The question is that narrative going to be pinned on Joe Biden? And I think there's a case to be made that it is.
No.
I mean-
I agree with you. What I'm saying is, like, even if the election comes around, Biden loses, and even if all the pollsters say the reason Biden lost is because of his support or his not being hard enough on Israel because he couldn't get enough young
Not
people.
stopping the genocide.
Right. Even if that is which first, by the way, that's not what's going to happen, because I think, well, I do think Biden's going to lose votes for that. In reality, I think he's going to lose a lot more votes because of inflation and the
True.
immigration.
Yes,
inflation and
true.
immigration, I think, are going to be, Biden's getting hit with these three massive issues: Israel, inflation, immigration. Honestly, I think if the immigration inflation issue weren't a thing, I still think he'd be in a pretty good spot, even with the Israel stuff. But with all three of those things, I think it's going to be
Devastating.
seemingly almost
Yeah.
impossible to win unless something crazy happens, which is always possible, but we'll see. But even if, I'm saying hypothetically, even if, the progressives got their magic moment where Biden loses, and he only loses because he couldn't draw support from the young people who are calling Israel genocide, blah, 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 blah. I don't think the Democrats could strategically just pivot and become anti-Zionist the way that Kyle and the progressives want, because there's like the Democrats are too split on that issue. So even if the Democrats lose because of the issue, it wouldn't really help the progressives' cause at all. That's what I'm trying to say.
I completely agree. My point is just, even Kyle making this video, which
Right.
you're exactly right. Like, Kyle's making this video to basically say, we're standing by as a genocide is taking place in Gaza. Like, that's the point of the video, right?
Right.
That narrative is going to suppress votes on the Democratic side
Yeah.
in younger people.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, the best thing to do, I mean, what is strategically, politically, I mean, what is the point of even making this video?
Well, he would probably say, because he wants to push the Democrats further into being anti-Israel. I would say from a more cynical perspective, it's just, getting
To
viewership.
take a shot at Tim Pool.
Right, taking a weird shot at Tim Pool, being anti-Israel, getting views based on those issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I find it ironic that he's making this video trying to say, oh, the Republicans have a problem with Israel Palestine, when really the
Right.
problem is like much bigger on the left.
Yeah, well, yeah, much.
And this video completely plays into that problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Quote, America first. Why aren't you the first one out there doing a video criticizing Trump, criticizing the Republicans who have cucked themselves to the Israel lobby, and
Yeah, look, it's like, you should make a video saying Trump should be anti-Israel. Why aren't you doing that, Tim Pool? Why don't you create the same problem on the Republican side that we have on the Democratic side? Well, because that would be stupid. That's why he's not doing it. Right?
Right.
Taking
Well, I
a
mean,
principled
I said, I
conservative
believe
stance.
Tim has come out in multiple videos saying that he doesn't think America should financially support Israel. I'm
Look,
pretty sure Tim has said that like multiple times.
Look,
Like, I
he's
don't know.
already making those videos. He's like, why is Trump cucking to fucking Israel? Like he's already
Right.
making those videos.
Now I don't know. Yeah, now I don't know if Tim has come out and said specifically that Donald Trump is cucking to Israel using those terms, right?
Well, I mean, he might, but he's talking in terms of foreign aid. He's not talking in terms of we're committing a genocide.
Sure, right.
Yeah. Which I think that's a much different conversation. Is going to drive much different voter behavior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This like Israel committing a genocide as America stands by and like watches. I mean, that's just nothing says voter suppression like that.
That's what's silly is that even if Kyle got his way here, the Republicans at the most you'd get would be that they're standing by and watching Israel commit a genocide. They're not going to help the Palestinians. They don't give a shit. They're not going to help the Palestinians.
Look, and that plays into the isolationist position. They're like, oh,
Yes.
okay, what are we supposed to do?
Well,
we're isolationists.
It's like with Greyjoy, Brown and Greyjoy talking to Robbie, because Robbie's position was the isolationist economic position. We shouldn't be supporting foreign wars, period. And for Brianna, that was never enough because she wants Robbie to jump into the moral question with her, like, well, how can you, why do you care about money? Like there's a moral genocide going on here. Why are you not fixating on that? Why are you not supporting for the moral reasons? And I think the reason is because people who are on the right are far more, we've talked about this, have far more a fear of barbarism than people on the left. Ignore that.
Yeah.
And people on the right, even if they don't want to support Israel financially, I think they're kind of looking at it from the situation of, well, if I was in Israel's position, I would just blow the shit out of these people too. Like if there was some if Mexico was did it on October 7th on America, most Republicans would be in favor of wiping them off the map. So I think that's why even the isolationists are they're not really that concerned about the moral questions, maybe.
Of course not. Yeah. That's not why they're isolationists.
Right.
Just the interesting thing for me about this video is I think the genocide, ethnic cleansing in Gaza topic is cancer for Joe Biden winning the election. So I just think strategically it's completely stupid for people on the left to be putting the thumb screws to Joe Biden on this issue at this current time. Like it's going to cost him votes in the election. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to do it anyway. Like they're totally going to do it anyway.
But I think
totally shooting themselves in the foot.
I think the progressives want that. I think the progressives want Joe Biden to lose, and they want him to lose on the basis of Israel because they think that will push the Democrat Party to be more progressive, to be more anti-Israel. Like that's what they want.
So you think Kyle Kulinski is not going to lose his mind when Trump wins in November?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what is going on here? What is going on?
That's, it's interesting.
Look, he has the gun out. It's loaded. It's pointed at his foot. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, it's true. It's interesting because if Trump wins, presumably, we assume Trump would be far more.
He's going to lose on Israel.
Yeah, he'd be far more lax with letting Israel do whatever the fuck Israel wants to do, which from a material perspective would mean that much worse things for the Palestinians, assuming whatever's going on is still going on in the next election cycle or during Trump's presidency.
Yeah, they have 4 years to indulge in the parking lot solution.
Right. So essentially it'd be weird because essentially what Kyle and the other progressives would be doing is they'd be sacrificing Palestinian lives in an effort to sort of push the Democrats in their mind in an ideological direction more progressive. So it's kind of interesting. And I don't think they've ever thought about this way. If that is their position, would be that they'd be willing to sacrifice Palestinians just to push the Democrats to the left, which I don't even think would work, by the way.
The strategically correct move here is to shut the fuck up about ethnic cleansing and genocide until after November when Biden is in the White House.
Well,
That is a strategic correct move to get what you want.
I think part of the reason they're so triggered, maybe they realize this on some level, is that they're in a no-win situation. They can't get what they want. Because if they do that strategy, what you're saying, and Biden wins, then he's probably just going to keep doing what he's been doing on Israel, right? He'll say like, "Hey, Israel, don't do what you're doing," and then Israel will do it, and the progressives will be mad. They'll say Joe Biden is just helping perpetuate genocide. He's not going to change his behavior. Like,
They
I think
got a
that's
better
why they're so
shot at
mad.
that than Trump in the White House and, not listening to anything they say.
You're right. Like, theoretically, that's like the better of all like their bad options. But I think maybe why they're so mad is that they realize they're in this. They're literally in a situation where they're no winning. There's no winning for them. They cannot win whatsoever. Because if Biden wins, he's going to keep doing probably what he's doing. They're not going to be able to pressure him. Probably, I don't see why they would, especially if he wins again. So he's not worried about another election. And if Trump wins, then they're obviously not going to be able to pressure Trump into doing anything either. So they're just in a completely feckless position where all they can do is just scream to their own audience in their own echo chamber to sort of generate views, but not actually affect anything from a political position.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look,
I mean, it's got to be frustrating for them, but
that's mostly what they want to do anyway. So
maybe
just scream to their audience.
Maybe.
How many times can I say genocide or ethnic cleansing in a
Right.
12-minute video?
This is and actually, this is why their position is kind of retarded from a very clear-minded, like strategic position, logical position. What the progressives should be pushing for is saying, okay, like they know, and I think I've laid out pretty clearly, they can't, even if the Democrats lose, and even if they thought it was because of Israel, the view of Israel is way too split in the Democratic Party because even the people that are kind of against the Israeli military action, they're still in favor of Israel existing as a country. They still support Israel existing. They're not anti-Zionist. And that's the progressives' problem. It's because they have a very extreme position of being anti-Zionist. They don't think Israel should be able to exist anymore, which will never the Democrats will never uphold that position, at least, not until 20, 30 years from now when all the woke people become older. So their position, if they actually want to help the Palestinian people, because what you could actually maybe get the Democrats to do is to have the Democrats push to a position of forcing some kind of two-state solution. You could maybe theoretically force the Democrats to do that. I don't think there's any fucking chance whatsoever that you could force the Democrats into pushing a one-state solution, which is what they want.
Oh, that is comical. Yeah.
So
I think it's funny he's talking about the rift on the Republican side between the Israel supporters and the isolationists. When, I mean, the rift on the left is just 10 times more consequential to this election.
Right.
And you are responsible in creating that rift by making videos like this.
I mean, yeah.
Trying to get Tim Pool to call out the fucking genocide.
Yeah, criticizing Tim Pool for being mad at Nick Fuentes' association with Trump. Is kind of funny.
Trying to get isolationists to call out the genocide. Come on. Come on. What are you thinking here? What kind of big brain strategic move is that?
I mean, not smart.
You isolationists over there. Aren't you worried about the genocide halfway around the world? Well, no, I'm an isolationist. I'm actually not worried about it.
This is an interesting Pew poll from March 21st of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked America's views on why and how Israel and Hamas are fighting. So
who they ask?
Americans. Americans' views on why and how Israel and Hamas are fighting.
Okay,
so,
interesting.
35% of respondents said that Israel's reasons for fighting Hamas are completely valid. 35%.
Okay.
23% said somewhat valid.
Okay.
26% said not sure. But then only 7% said not too valid, and only 8% said not at all valid. Right. So only 15% said not valid reasons.
And Kyle Kulinski's in the 15%. Look, you got Tim in the 8% and Kyle in the 15%. These two guys are going at it on the internet.
Right. Then you had 37 wait, 39, no, so then you have 49% of respondents say Hamas's reasons for fighting Israel are not valid, 49%, and only 32% saying somewhat, or 16% saying somewhat valid, and then 6% saying completely valid, right?
That's
So,
Hamas.
yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
so in the extreme minority there. Then they asked how they're fighting, which would be more pertinent,
Yeah. Is it a
right?
genocide?
And so 21% said the way, this is in March. So, maybe things have changed because it's been a couple more months. But in March, 21% of respondents said that Israel is completely acceptable in the way they are carrying out the attack. Way they're carrying out their response to the October 7th attack. And 17% said somewhat acceptable. But then 14% said somewhat unacceptable, and 20% said completely unacceptable. So that's actually interesting. So if we were to combine them, you have
34%.
you have 38% say acceptable, and you have 34% saying unacceptable. So it's actually pretty close
Yeah.
in terms of but see, that's the point I'm talking about, is that even though you have this closeness and people thinking the military response is unacceptable, the majority of people are still in favor of Israel.
Yeah.
They're just not in favor of like the tactics that are being used currently. So
Right. You're so
I
right.
think,
Inflation is going to be a much bigger issue. It's going
oh
to
yeah,
dominate.
inflation and immigration's, I think, the much bigger. Like if inflation went away, maybe it's too late, but if inflation had gone away, last month or something, or prices had gone back to normal, I think that would have been, Joe Biden would have been riding that fucking wave all the way to October.
I
But
can't
that's
believe
not going to happen. So
so many commentators are saying inflation is gone. Like David Pakman keeps gaslighting his audience every day about how inflation is gone. And
because they
he's
want
just
Biden to win. That's why they know.
yeah, but it sounds ridiculous. And
Yeah.
there's an obvious, he's trying to take advantage of this obvious miscommunication because the inflation rate is back to, well, it's not even back to what it was, but it's closer than it has
It's
been.
less. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people are talking about prices being up. But
Yeah.
he's like conflating the inflation rate with prices are substantially higher than they were a year ago.
Right.
It's like, just
right.
acknowledge that the prices are higher than they were a year ago. That's what's going to cost you voters.
Yeah, but that's
stupid.
And this was like the Biden team's strategy on this is so fucking retarded, because it's essentially them saying they think they can literally gaslight Americans or their voting base into not seeing prices being raised at restaurants and grocery stores.
Yeah.
Right. And at the gas station. They think I can just gaslight Americans. You can have Paul Krugman come out and write some like retarded article where he's trying to gaslight Americans into seeing that the prices have not raised. And that's going to get people to vote for you, instead of just like, if Trump was president now, I don't think he would do that strategy. All he do is just complain about, he just bitch the Fed. You just completely shift the blame to the Fed. Say it's the Fed's fault. They're raising the interest rates. Fuck the Fed, fuck the Fed, fuck the Fed.
That's brilliant. It's not my fault.
Which, by the way, is not only a better strategy, but probably actually somewhat true. So
of course.
Like more legitimate than gaslighting. It's just kind of baffling that the Biden team hasn't taken that approach. Maybe they can't take that approach because they've like associated themselves as like, we're like pro government administrations and Trump is anti-government administrations or something. But that's definitely, I think that'd be a much better strategy for Biden at the moment.
I wonder if Trump can bully the Fed into lowering interest rates just by sheer will alone.
I don't know. That's interesting. Could he just shit talk the Fed into lowering interest rates?
Look, I'm convinced that if the Fed started just lowering interest rates, if we were into our second interest rate decline, I think the economy would be in much better shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the economy would probably slow down, but we could be having, the inflation going down as well, obviously. So
yeah,
it'd be a trade-off, but I think it's a trade-off most people would want.
Well,
I don't know.
What do you mean the economy? Why would the economy be slowing down if they lowered interest rates? The economy would be speeding up. The price of money would be cheaper, and inflation would go down.
Yeah, but if the price of money is cheaper, wouldn't inflation go up still? Why would it go down?
It would go down. The idea is that the interest rates are what sets the inflation rate.
Mm-hmm.
That people price the cost of money into doing business.
Right.
People continue to do business regardless of what the interest rates are. They price the cost of the borrowing money into the deal. So if interest rates went down, the cost that they incorporate into doing business would go down. So therefore they could lower prices based on that.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thinking.
Well, it'd be interesting because, like, if Donald Trump's president and he's
The-
bullying the Fed, I don't know, like, obviously it depends on the Fed chair's personality, but I could see it more likely that they'd be like, I'm standing up to Trump, right? But if it was like Biden, I almost feel like they'd be, if Biden was coming at the Fed hard, I feel like they'd be more likely to not be psychologically reactive to like just defend the position.
I don't know.
Like if it's Trump, people well if he's like a very anti-Trump guy, he might just be very defensive like automatically if Trump's telling him to do it.
There are two sides to the money supply. There is the people borrowing money. When if someone borrows money, money is created, and when they pay it back, money is destroyed. So that expanding and contracting of the money supply that's what is affected by higher interest rates, theoretically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they raise interest rates, people are less likely to borrow money and expand the money supply on that side. There's also government spending, which they pay interest on the government spending. That's the other side of the money supply. So if you lowered interest rates, that side of the money supply would also shrink. So it may be a wash. Like one side might grow and one side might shrink.
Right, but that's kind of the issue is that when the Fed, they're only focused on the private citizen side, which is that if interest rates go down, more people will be more likely to take out loans, thus increase the money supply, which presumably is true, but ignoring that the government is still spending money like crazy and they're not slowing. So increasing the interest rates is going to mean that the interest rate on the debt is going to just increase, which the government's going to have to print more money to pay that off anyway.
On the borrowing side, though, people borrow money because there's opportunity to be had, right? People don't borrow money and start a business if there's not an opportunity to start a business, right? That's stupid.
Well, the idea,
borrowing money just to start a business that's going to lose money is a losing proposition.
Yes. The idea is that businesses, when interest rates are high, businesses are more likely to not borrow money and not expand, and therefore the money supply will shrink, right? That's the idea. But part of why people think the stock market is so hot right now is because of the interest rates. But I guess the question
is so hot because of the interest income channel.
Sure, but if the interest rate starts going down, would businesses really be pulling out that much extra money just because interest rates drop, a couple of percentage points? And I'm not sure.
Only if there's business opportunity. This is what I was saying.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay.
Yes, I understand. But
this is what I was saying. Like if there's business opportunity, they're going to take that business opportunity. If interest rates are high, they're going to price those higher interest rates into the business opportunity. If if interest rates are low, they're going to price lower cost.
Okay.
But they're going to take the business opportunity either way. But look, let's move on. Everyone's like checking out. I'm certain of it. So
we're almost done anyway with this video, so let's just finish it.
Chance of I want to cut off all the money to Israel. I want to cut off all the weapons to Israel. They're doing a genocide. They're doing an ethnic cleansing. But most importantly, this is not America first. This is internationalism. This is globalism. This is us sending too much money elsewhere. We need to rebuild here. We got to protect our border. We got to do this. We got to do that. That's what I'm going to focus on. He doesn't do that. So here we're left this weird position that Tim Pool is in. I feel like he's playing hide the ball with what he really believes on this issue, and he's been doing it. I remember when Emma Vigeland went on.
What is Tim hiding?
He thinks Tim is like secretly pro-Israel or something.
Oh, really? Oh, he's part of the conspiracy?
I don't know. It's really, or maybe he thinks that Tim is like afraid to be stronger anti-Israel because like Republicans are more in favor or something. Like it's not clear exactly what he means by this, but
right.
Tim Pool, this issue came up of Israel. And he very weird around that topic. Danced around it, dodged it, turned into Neo from the Matrix, right? Very weird. And he's seemingly doing the same. I don't care about Israel, but I'm mad that you keep talking about Israel. What? I don't care about Israel, but we don't want to be perceived as anti-Israel. Well, if you don't care about it, why would you care perceived as anti-Israel? What are you talking? Okay. He's confused. And my guess is, or he's hiding his true power level. He's hiding his true beliefs on it. But either way, I love to see the girls fight. Nick Fuentes, you're on the clock. Just like Kendrick and Drake, where they would go back and forth. All right, you're on the clock. No, you're on the clock. You're on the clock, Nick Fuentes. Let's see. Fire back at Tim Pool. Let's have Beanie on incel violence. I am here for all of it. Hey, y'all, do me a...
I can't stand the person X is hiding their true beliefs on this topic. It's so silly. Like, why would anyone do that?
Well, people do hide their power level. The question is, I don't perceive Tim as benefiting from hiding his power level.
Yeah,
if he was,
exactly.
on Israel.
People do hide their true beliefs when those beliefs are like racist or homophobic, and they don't want to suffer the social consequences of that. But none of that is taking place in this situation.
Well, I guess the argument would be, is Tim... Well, I guess the argument, and I don't know because Kyle didn't really say, there may be, would either be Tim is more pro-Israel, but he doesn't want to say it because he has too many anti-Israel people in his audience, or the vice versa. He's anti-Israel, but he knows
he doesn't
that
want to make Trump look bad.
Doesn't want to make Trump look bad, or there's too many pro-Israel people in, in the Republican Party and in his audience. So
right.
I want to watch this real quick. This is Emma talking to him about Israel, because I don't remember this. We watched this video on stream, but I don't remember them talking about Israel because there's so much other like crazy shit that we focused on.
They are just it's completely symmetrical. Israel and Palestine. These are two actors just battling it out.
To your favor of intervention there?
I would love to fund the Palestinians so that they were able to have a better life.
You are to the
for
right of
themselves.
me on foreign policy.
Well,
I mean, she said, now to be clear, she did say fund Palestinians to have a better quality of life, but I mean, how could you fund them without funding like the Palestinian military / Hamas or something? Like, it's kind of a crazy position, right?
Well, and how is that to the right? Like giving foreign aid to, usually the right is not in favor of foreign aid. So
No. Sure. But let's
we already fund Israel, dude.
Yeah.
Are you against that?
That's a tougher question I don't have an answer to.
Then you're in favor of funding military.
No.
We fund the Iron
Me
Dome.
literally saying,
we fund their
I don't
military-industrial
know
complex.
anything enough about it.
Then if it's
I
your
lean
principle
against
and you're
intervention.
anti-war, then you should be saying that we should cut Israel funding for Israeli
Or I can
defense
say simply,
right now.
I lean. That's why I said 99%. I'll say I absolutely lean against providing military aid to Israel. I just don't know. I will say a new war in Ukraine in a territory.
So I don't know. He did give a weird answer because he said he's against funding Israel, but he doesn't know. So I don't know. What doesn't he know? I don't understand. What does the I don't know even refer to?
yeah.
So I'm not sure. I wouldn't say it's as dodgy as Kyle said, because he did say he was against funding Israel, but he did leave himself some sort of vagueness there. So that is interesting. But
Who knows the
I'm not sure what's
ramifications of that policy? So he just wants to research it more.
maybe. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? TL1524 for Vidar says, what Kulinski is missing, or what Kulinski is missing, is that once Israel takes the land, we then have to put in the secret code up, down, left, right, BA, then Jesus will come back. That is true. That is why Konami sneaks it into all their games, right? They're trying to start the end times. It's true.
That's what we're waiting for.
Yeah,
Well, now I know the secret code. I should screen cap that.
that's true. After L1F3GG for $10 says, Adam and Sitch, I need y'all to stop painting everyone on the left as being anti-Semitic because a vocal minority are protesting at college and crying on X. They represent the far left. We aren't all the same. I mean, we didn't do that in this video. I don't know. I don't even know what you're referencing. So
Yeah, and
I literally made the argument that Kyle's position is untenable to the Democrats because the majority of Democrats support Israel. So,
and I literally made the argument that there's a wide swath of beliefs in all political camps.
right.
And that we shouldn't misrepresent those camps by saying that just because you have a certain belief that everyone in the camp has that belief.
Mhm.
So I agree with you, man. 1,000%. I agree with you.
Mike Hole for 2 years. Thanks so much, Mike Hole, for being free will seeker for 2 years. Says the 144,000 number refers to people ascending to heaven. Everyone else gets put back on a paradise Earth. Don't ask me how I know. Also, I'm gold now. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
congratulations. When am I going to get the gold? But yeah,
Interesting.
so that's that. I do remember. I think that is the Jehovah's Witness perspective that only 144,000 are in heaven, but they rebuild the earth and everyone lives on earth as immortals. So take that.
Or was it that 144,000 of the non-believers after the end times would then get chosen to ascend?
Oh my God.
I don't know. Fuck it. Who knows? Who cares? RBGH fan for $10. Thanks so much. Says, I think the difference between moderates who disagree is people like myself don't think Hamas is Gaza's representative government. Israel has more control over that territory and the people there. Yes and no. Because, I mean, obviously Israel has the ability to restrict trade in there, but at the same time, it's not unlimited because Hamas still is able to obviously dig all those tunnels, get the infrastructure to dig all those tunnels, get the materials to dig all those tunnels, to get all the weapons, to plan everything they did with October 7th, and Israel was unable to stop them. And whether we like it or not, Hamas does have control of the region. I think it's fair to say it's not representative government, obviously, because it's not. It is basically a violent mob that controls the region, but it still is a violent mob that is the technical government of the area that controls the region.
More like a criminal gang. Yeah, I guess the mob is like a criminal enterprise. So
right. We don't need to quibble over the exact label.
No, I agree. Yeah. No, that's correct. Yeah.
So,
but they're working on, obviously Israel probably has more control in the territory now that they're in there with military bases and whatnot.
Yes, sure.
Hamas is forced to just hide.
Right.
And I don't think Israel's going home. Like I can't, that's not happening. And they have an excuse to stay there as long as they have hostages. So
yeah, they're not going home. They're going to control it indefinitely.
Yep.
Morgan the Person, thanks so much for $5. Says the only way to solve the Israel-Ukraine problem at this point is to put 5-lane highways connected to fast food joints. I mean, it worked in the South. There you go.
That's probably what's going to happen.
I like it. Beamers for $5 says thoughts on Nerdine Kiswani pushing progressives to anti-Zionist, anti-Semitism.
I have no idea who that is, but
I don't know who that is either.
Yeah.
He's some guy on Twitter or some lady on Twitter. I'm unfamiliar with their account. So,
but I'm not in favor of anyone on the progressive side doing the anti-Zionism, anti-Semitic shit. So
sure.
I think it's bad for them politically, and it's bad culturally.
It's a stupid position because it's not going to manifest in anything they want. So
yeah, weak sauce.
The chat father for $5 says crystal ball. Oh god. Crystal ball hawk tuies when Kyle makes especially insane arguments. There you go. Terrible.
Well, that incentivizes Kyle to make these insane arguments.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Long story short, $5 says the Fed started rate hikes when inflation was 9%, June 2022. Within a year of monthly rate hikes, inflation got to 3% in less than a year. Look up the charts.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, but I think they're saying that that means that you're wrong.
Well, I mean, they're not mentioning also there was a giant supply chain disruption that worked itself out, and that a lot of people are saying that the supply chain disruption was what caused the inflation. So when it went away, the inflation went away, independent of what the Fed did with interest rates.
Right.
The argument a lot of people are making is that the interest rate thing is like kind of inconsequential.
Maybe. I think when we talked about this before, I think it's possible that there's like a balancing act where raising inflation rates to a level can lower interest rates, but then beyond that, it just can end up making things worse, actually. because if people are still like, if the Fed raises the inflation rates to cool down the economy, but the economy doesn't get cooled down and everyone's still taking out all this money because it's still worth it, then you're just going to have inflation increasing and high interest rates, which then is going to increase inflation again, because then everyone needs more money to pay off the interest, both private citizens and the government.
Right. Products and services are going to cost more because the cost of borrowing goes up, and a lot of businesses run on, buying their supplies and their inventory on borrowed money, right? So they're paying interest on that. They incorporate that into the cost of doing business. And at the same time, the debt goes up and they're forced to print money to pay interest on the debt, which a lot of people say that's why the stock market is going up, because the people who own a lot of that debt are corporations and wealthy people. So they have all this extra money from the interest being paid on the debt that they're using to buy stocks and bonds.
Right.
So, yeah. So you've got the expanding money supply. Look, and everyone kind of agrees that expanding the money supply creates inflation. So, boom, there you go.
Mr. Ubercross, thank you so much for the $50. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Ubercross.
that's good. That's awesome. That's an inflated
He's
super chat that I love. Expanding our money supply. I know.
Mr. Ubercross says interest rates and inflation are like supply and demand. Higher interest rate lowers the loans people take. At lower rates, inflation has been demonstrably worse. Higher numbers of loans made it worse than the higher rates being paid on fewer loans. I understand that's the idea. I'm questioning if that's actually the way it's happening, though, because if the higher interest, you'd have to work out the math, and maybe you have, or maybe you know a source that has, but if the economy is still so hot and doing so well that even at the higher interest rates, people are still borrowing money like crazy because they know they're going to still make a profit, so much so that even if you lower the interest rate, it would have a negligible effect on people borrowing, then having the higher interest rates are going to cause more inflation, not less. Now, I don't know if these are all if statements. If this thing is true, I don't know. You'd have to work out the math or show someone that has worked out the math, but.
Yeah, look, the idea is a higher interest rate dissuades people from borrowing money, and a lower interest rates make people more willing to borrow money. But a lot of times people think of zero interest rates as if it's free money. You still have to pay that money back, right?
Right.
You can't just borrow $100,000 for a home at a zero interest rate and think, okay, well, I don't have to pay the money back.
No, but what I'm saying is let's look at BlackRock, for example, because everyone hates them. If the interest rate is zero and BlackRock's like, okay, we're going to borrow $100 million and we're going to use this $100 million to buy a bunch of homes, right? And they're going to buy a bunch of housing projects and then sell them or flip them or something, right? And the interest rate's at zero.
Right.
Like the idea is supposed to be like, well, if the interest rate's 4% or whatever it is, that BlackRock's not going to take out the $100 million and buy all those homes and then flip them because there's a 4% interest rate. And I'm saying, is that
they
true?
are going
to
do that. They're just going to make their product more expensive. Also, the interest rates have a very high effect in places like purchasing homes because, obviously higher interest rates makes your mortgage payment that much higher. So it has a very big effect in certain sectors of the economy and not as big a deterrent effect in other sectors of the economy, right? If you're borrowing money for inventory for a store or something like that, it's a completely different situation, right?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if they keep raising interest rates, but the economy is still just going up and up and up, and consumer spending still keeps increasing, I think you either have to I think that level of raising interest rates is going to make inflation worse, or you'd have to raise inflation rates so high to just really punch the shit out of the economy, which no one wants to do.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think, why wouldn't they just try lowering interest rates? Like, you lower interest rates They do these Fed meetings like once a month.
Because they're terrified of stagflation.
Yeah, I think obviously lowering interest. They're terrified of inflation. They think if they lowered interest rates, the economy would take off, and that hotter economy would cause more inflation.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not convinced it would. And they
Well,
could
that's what I'm saying.
just try it out.
And this is why, again, I say when you're talking to people, they're like motivated by all their various different personal motivations. If the Fed chair right now is terrified of being if he lowers the inflation or the interest rate and it makes inflation worse, okay, which is what happened.
That is what he's terrified of. Yeah.
And that's what happened in the 70s, and everyone shit all over the Fed for doing that. He's terrified of his reputation, of his personal reputation being associated with whatever, I forget that chair's name in the 70s.
Yeah.
And his name going down in history is like a big fucking idiot. And so, but if he keeps the interest rates high, even if it's wrong, he can get to say, well, this is what everyone said we were supposed to do, right? So he has like a level of protection, even if it's the wrong decision, as opposed to being doing the risky decision. So
no, I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay. So Tuesday nights, obviously we're going to stream tomorrow, but also Tuesday night after Star Wars Acolyte premieres, we will be streaming and talking about it right after that night on our channel, Death of a Franchise.
Yeah. Look at the pinned comment, and I'll
comment for a link.
I'll put a link in the description as well. So great show. Awesome show. Sitch, that was amazing. I can't believe these people are insane.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.